Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle episode 579. Hopefully, you guys have had a great Saturday. I've got a great guest for us this Saturday evening, another podcast in the cannabis community. I'm looking forward to spending an evening with Uncle Rick of Let's Be Buds. How you doing, my friend? You want to tell us?
Hello, I'm
Once I pause this video in the background, how you're doing and where they can find you.
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks, Eagle. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Let's Be Buds on YouTube and on Instagram. It's Let's dot B dots Buds with a Z. And so that's where you can find me. Other than that, the odd occasion you might find me over at Pornhub, but just ignore that. Just pretend that didn't happen.
Nah. That's funny. That's super funny. So how was your day? How was your day? Right off the bat.
It's been a great one. Matter of fact, I got a good night's sleep. I've been dabbling with RSO for the last couple of weeks, and it's been allowed me to eliminate my sleeping pill. And last night I woke up around 1 o'clock in the morning, and about 1:30 I thought, you know what, I think I'll just have some more RSO. And darn it, I was out until 8:30 this morning, so it felt pretty good.
Nice. I think everybody should be on a low dose of the RSO, to be honest with you, almost like a daily vitamin. The only downside to that I found is it can up your tolerance.
Yeah, I can see that, and also I'm finding dialing in my dosage is a bit of a challenge because I'm still feeling a little woozy in the morning, which in my situation is not necessarily a bad thing. That's why I keep doing it. It's not that I have a job to go to in the morning or anything like that, so it's all good.
So do you make, I guess, getting a little, it's all the same, right? So do you make your own RSO, or are you purchasing it from a dispo or a friend?
Yeah, I've just started making my own. I got one of those Ito recovery machines, so it extracts the tincture, but it draws back the alcohol, so you can reuse it again. So I'm just dabbling with it, figuring things out. I have to source another supply of alcohol. We do not I live in the province of British Columbia, and in their wisdom, they don't allow 95% alcohol to be sold in our province, so I have to acquire it from another province. So I'm just in the process of doing that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you gonna go with stay with a grain alcohol or maybe a grape alcohol? Yeah. If you're gonna have to source it out, are you gonna look for, I don't know, more of a quality than a grain alcohol?
Yeah, you know what? I just ordered it, and it's the alcohol that they advise you to use if you're making tinctures or concentrates. I guess it's a grain alcohol. I think it's like a food grade alcohol. Would that be what it's called? Not sure.
So
How about you? Do you make your own?
I do from time
Yeah.
to time. I do, absolutely. Everclear.
Oh,
Sometimes I'm lucky enough to source some alcohol that's a little bit stronger, a little bit of moonshine, I guess you'd call it, which I prefer to use whenever I can source it. But if not, Everclear. grain
Okay.
alcohol.
Yeah, yeah, and Everclear, I believe, is 95%. So, and it's from what I've been led to believe, it's pretty hard to get much higher than 95. The product that I ordered is 96%. I do remember that. Just can't remember what it's called. But so it should be here soon, and I should be getting back in business. So looking forward to that. But I've still got I think three syringes, and I'm using just under about a quarter of a syringe. So I don't know what that equals in weight, but it's a 1 milliliter syringe, and I'm using about a quarter of that, just about an hour before I go to bed.
You ever use it to spice up some of your joints there? Occasionally, I'll take some of that syringe and replace that the stick line with some of the RSO, basically
Okay.
roll fatty.
Okay, I haven't mixed the two, but I can see that being a lot of fun too. Yeah. I'm kind of holding back on my RSO dosage until late in the evening. I don't want to get involved too early with that.
Is it just for sleeping purposes that you're taking the RSO?
I'm primarily, that's what I wanted to do, was just take it for sleeping purposes. I want to make it part of my daily regime, just for overall wellness. I believe that there's so many healing properties in it. I would like to think that it helps with inflammation. And I do suffer from arthritis, so looking for some relief there. Actually, you know what? I've really been fortunate in my life. I really haven't had to take too much in the way of medication. I do, however, I do take a pill for high cholesterol. But I've also found out that RSO can really help people that have a high blood pressure or low blood pressure. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I may have to take a look at go for another physical and just see if it's made any effect on my cholesterol situation. So.
I've been talking about this a little bit more lately since I guess we're on that subject is when we talk about the chlorophyll being in there, the green in our RSO, a lot of times when we talk about making it, it's more of a quicker process to avoid the chlorophyll, the excess chlorophyll in there. But there was doing a little research on some stuff the other day, and they were talking about chlorophyll and its pluses. I mean, a lot of times we think of it as a negative in our RSO or in our cannabis, but I mean, you think about us using it as medicine, I'm currently, my stance on it is it's better to leave it in as much as possible, to be honest with you. One, for its effects for sleep. I mean, the more you leave it in there, you're going to be in a deep sleep afterwards. It's promotion for healthy red blood cells as well, and to help keep a healthy liver as well. So with them, just those three benefits, why wouldn't you want to leave some in there when it could all aid in a healing process if you're using it for a medicine? I think the only benefit of a quick wash like that for RSO would be to make it be more making it for daily purposes or almost a recreational RSO, limit some effects, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I believe you're absolutely right on that. Yeah, what I do is I normally I'll put the material in with the alcohol, and I'll let it sit for maybe even a couple of days before I run it. So I do want that, definitely want that chlorophyll in there for sure. For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you got? What'd you bring to smoke on tonight, good sir?
Well, I'll tell you, I just I was gifted a bunch of plants from Caribou, um, and he just had an abundance of plants that he just didn't know what to do with, and I said, well, I'd be happy to take them off your hands. So that's what I did. So I was boy, oh boy, I had 5 different strains, and I just took them all down about a week ago. And however, the humidity is so low around here, it's just drying way too fast. So that's the bad news. The good news is, I guess I've got it to smoke a little bit sooner. So let's see. I have a strain called Spider Girl, which is a CBD dominant strain. I've got Lemonberry, GG4, Grape Ape, and the other one, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. It's almost there. Anyways, so today yesterday I rolled my first joint of GG4. I never smoked it in my life, and yeah. So and really enjoyed it. Absolutely, the flavor is hard to put my head around, but the highs, and it's really number one. And so I've got that will be my second one for the evening, but tonight I'm going to start off with Lemonberry. So wish me luck. And how about you? What are you rolling up tonight?
Oh, this is a little bit of a tester from MedGrower One that slightly seeded. It's his silverback times his primal punch, which is super tasty. Wish I would have got to test this run without without the addition of the seed, but it is what it is. So I didn't realize in this little breeding project that we've had going here that keeping a male around for a period of time was going to be a little bit more trickier than I had anticipated. I figured I could just keep him under, 24 hours of light there and that'd be good. Uh, but I was not good. I was not
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, those spores have a way of finding their way around, don't they?
good. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Even I thought I had it. It was somewhat contained. As you can see, there's plenty of areas, plenty of tents around me. At one point, there's 8, slowly working my way down. Uh, but yeah, the tent right behind me, right here, is where the male was, and I caught it fairly quickly. And I thought it's just going to be that area, but no, it was all the way around, even in the areas where I thought, this is going to be the least chance, floated up in there too. Even tonight, man, I did a purposeful shaking tonight. Uh Probably about 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago now, something like that, maybe a little better. No, I look at the clock. I reached in and I seen the Columbia male that I've got going there for this breeding project, just sacks all swollen. I thought, huh, this couple look like they're open. I'm just gonna reach in there because she's in a 10, and he's in a 3. I'm just gonna reach in there and give him a good shake. You know what I mean? Just a little, and that's all I did. That's all I did. I reached in there, grabbed the side of the 3, grabbed the stock, and just did a and it just clouded that 4x8. I very quickly shut the tent real quick, and I'm like, I'm looking through. I'm like, oh no, it's just floating around in there, and I'm like, oh yeah, for the first shot, and like I said, he's barely opening up. So there's going to be no problem with that dust and earth. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's just where else is it going to all go? That's all. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Almost over though, as far as like the breeding stuff and be able to resume the sensibilia growing.
Tell me more about the project. You've got this one male. What are you crossing? What are you crossing there?
Well, the Jack Skellington, both of them, TGA, under the TGA umbrella there. Uh, we had a gentleman that early on was a fan of the show, was watching and participating in chat. When the show kicked off, right from the beginning, fellow weed nerd, DOA. And as we got to know him in chat and just know him in general, uh, we I got him on the show and we got to know him even better and became somewhat of a regular guest. And upon us getting to know him, we knew he had some health problems, but he never really divulged how sick he was. And he passed, not this last December, but the December before that, he passed December 15th. And we decided to take the two strains that he always talked about, the Jack Skellington and the Columbia, and cross those up and make them those seeds available for the people in the community to remember DOA if they wanted to take part in that project, and maybe keep it a running project uh, as well. Kind of keep hunting it out, breeding it out into something a little more better as we go along, or we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Cool, cool. Okay, and I'm sorry. Who is this we're talking about?
He went by the handle DOA in the
DOA. Yeah,
chats.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which was his name, his initials backwards. His name was Anthony, and
Okay.
so we were trying to think of a name to call the strain, and we ended up. I think we've settled on the name, but I think we're gonna call it DOA. But we've
Mm-hmm.
kind of changed the 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 meaning of the initials around to Dank of Anthony. So that's
Okay.
what DOA will stand uh, for the strain.
Good, good. Right on, right on. Yeah. So that was December the 15th of 20, 2020. 2020.
21, right?
Or
Oh yeah, 2020. You're right.
2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Coincidentally, it's just the same time that I started on the podcast with Caribou.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. 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 It was.
So,
Go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna finish what you're saying. I was gonna take you back to the beginning.
Okay, okay. Well, that was actually that was a bit of a beginning. I mean, I've had a few beginnings, but that was the beginning of being introduced to this incredible community that we have here. Up until that point, quite frankly, I don't know so much of it. Just it went over my head or past me that we have such a incredible community here. I guess it was maybe some of it maybe had to do with the way I was introduced to cannabis, and I got into it in the in an illegal sense, and dealt with the black market for many years, and it was always afraid to share ideas or ask questions and just kind of stumbled my way through life, and it was a series of events that I happened to be working in a hydroponics store at the time, and when I met Caribou, and we hit it off right away, and we shared our enthusiasm for the plant, and then he one day he told me that he had a podcast and wanted to invite me as a guest, and I said, well, sure, and I really didn't give it too much thought at the time. And but we had the first interview, and then we decided to do it on a regular basis, and we were bringing on other guests, and I just thought this was so incredible that it was I guess so open, where we were able to talk about this, and for all those years that I've been holding back my thoughts about wanting to glean more information from other growers, I suddenly saw an opportunity to do that, and I just became a sponge, drawing in it more and more information, and then meeting more and more people and finding out about more and more other podcasts, and it's been life-changing, quite frankly. It's really been amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when did your use with cannabis start? When was the first time you came across the plant? When was the first time you used?
Well, we'd go back a ways for that one, but I was actually a late bloomer. I didn't start consuming cannabis until my late teens. Quite frankly, my drug of choice in those days was LSD. I got into acid for a good year before I was consuming cannabis. So it would have been my late teens that I first got involved with consuming cannabis, and then I enjoyed it for another 20 years before I decided to grow it. So it was quite late. I was almost 40 when I decided to start growing it. And what did I want to say about that? Oh, just that it wasn't my intention to really get involved with growing. I just wanted to. I'd been buying my pot from my local dealer for many years, and I decided that maybe what I should do is, instead of buying an ounce, I'll buy a quarter pound, and then I'll sell 3 to my friends and smoke mine for free, or something like that. I hadn't quite figured out all the math, but I thought we could do something like that. So I went to my dealer and I said I'd like to get into the business, and he got so excited. And I thought, what is so exciting about another, but what I didn't realize at the time was he was talking about growing it. And so I had no idea at that point that, and I'm living in BC, and of course it's BC bud we're talking about, which at this point I think was pretty well known all over most of North America. And I didn't realize it was being grown in people's garages and basements here in Vancouver. So he took me out to a grow operation, typically blindfolded, and when he took that blindfold off, boy oh boy, I was hooked. That was another life-changing moment for me, and it's been part of my life ever since. It's yeah, I developed a passion for it really quick.
Right on. Was it always recreational, or what? At what point would you consider? Has it taken a medical turn for you, or do you still consider it recreational?
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it took a while. It took a while. In Canada, I believe we were medical. We legalized medical. I want to say it was about 2001. About 2001. And quite frankly, up until that time, I was still black market, and but I saw an opportunity if I could get a medical license. So I started pursuing that, and it took me a couple of years to figure it all out. But at that point, I did get a medical license, and it still took me another short while to change my attitude and beliefs. And quite frankly, it wasn't until about 2000. I mean, I could see the medical benefits in many cases, but not as much maybe personally. But it was around that time that it was the first time I ever tried CBD, and that was an amazing moment for me. I really found instant pain relief from it, and that was a changing moment for me as well. Then I really could definitely see the benefits of the medical side of it.
So tell me a little bit about the your first grow there, what it looked like. You gotta give us a little peek at that setup.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about that today, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it all started with this my drug dealer who was partners in the grow operation that he took me to see. So him and I struck up a deal, but basically he wasn't a grower. Uh, he was just one of the partners who decided to rip off his other partners. So he took a branch from one of the bushes, and it was maybe it was about a 3 or 4 foot branch, and he broke it off, brought it over to my place. I gave him $2,800 for this branch. And we commenced to sit down at the kitchen table and cut clones. But of course, he didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. We just kind of looked at each other and fumbled our way through cutting and dipping. And I can't remember all the details. I don't know if everything died and I had to acquire them from somebody else. But the downside was, there, like in many cases, like there was nobody. Like I didn't know. This was 1985. I didn't know that many people that were growing, or didn't know anybody that was growing or selling clones or anything like that. So, anyways, we went from getting that branch into some clones, I guess, and then I had a 1-car garage, and I set up 2 4x8 tables in there, and I started hydroponically. Like, could I have maybe tried to figure out something maybe a little harder to start with than hydroponics? But that's what I decided. I had 2 400-watt bulbs over each table, and it was hydroponic. Yeah. So but I knew nothing about chillers, water temperatures. This garage was not insulated, and it didn't, and so it just had the boards on the outside of the garage, and at nighttime the light would flash through the openings in the garage. It looked like a lighthouse with all these lights shining down the street. So yeah, that was my very first grow, and we were in that home for less than a year. Then I moved and set up another grow, and it was a little bit more responsible. It was 6 1,000-watt bulbs. They were called the compatible. There's the HPS and the metal halide. These were called compatible bulbs. So you could use them for grow for veg and for flower. So I set that grow up as it was called like a cascade effect or waterfall, and I had the bulb down the middle so the light would go out to the sides. That's the style I was growing in those days. And that then I was, of course, back to soil. And yeah, I never went back. I did do deep water culture one more time, but I never went back. And I've done some flood and drain, but I never went back to hydroponics. Currently, I'm doing in cocoa.
Yeah, definitely starting off with the hard stuff there with the hydroponics, that's for sure.
Oh, and of course, not having a mentor, not having a book or a forum or an internet to look up. Yeah, it was a challenge. It was exciting. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm still surprised that LSD came before cannabis. Cannabis is supposed to be the gateway drug, goddammit, not LSD. How does that work?
Yeah, that was really weird. I when I was 15 or about 15, and this would be in the early 60s, I'd moved to Alberta, the province next to me. And in the early 60s, I think that Vancouver was probably Vancouver, San Francisco, we were probably the leaders in the drug culture. It was very, very active in Vancouver. Anyways, I moved to Alberta, and uh, um, Alberta. Vancouver was where everything was happening, and Alberta was where it was not, and they were a few years behind us. So, anyways, I was there for a couple of years, and then I came back, and in my absence is when my social group got involved with cannabis, and when I came back to see my friends, I couldn't understand it. I didn't know what the big deal was, and they were giggling and laughing and think it was a lot of fun, and I just didn't understand it. And but what I don't remember is how I got involved with LSD. But I just decided that was going to be my drug of choice, and pursued that for a couple of years, and until I had one really, really bad trip, and decided, no, I think we'll back away from this one, and then eventually I went back into cannabis, and yeah.
It's kind of funny you say that you don't remember how necessarily I get mixed up with the acid, because I was fixing to ask. Because I'm honestly working on a theory right now, to be honest with you. Because in my experience with psychedelics, uh, it always seems to source from some cool ass hippie chick. I've never really had an introduction with a good acid or mushroom or whatever phase, you know. It's always been some gal that's always been like, hey, here you go. So I couldn't help but wonder if there was a possibility.
There could have been. Damn it, I'm gonna have to work on that. I gotta remember exactly how that all came about. Yeah. But I do remember like going down to Fourth Avenue in Vancouver, and I mean the hippies were rampant, and Gastown in Vancouver, it was the culture was strong. It was really something, and drugs were quite open, quite prevalent. You could go to a bar, and you could look around, and you could tell pretty quick who was there to do business with you. Yeah. Okay, I got a story. So
I'm ready to listen.
Actually, I was thinking about another one, and if I make a note of it, I may get back to it. But anyway, this one had to do with being involved with my first wife, and so we had split up, and uh, during our breakup. I was in a bar one day and went to the restroom, and Buddy was in there, and he says, "You want to buy some pot?" And I said, "Well, how much?" And he said, $10, $10 an ounce. I think they were called lids in those days, $10 a lid. And normally I would pay 20-ish for a lid or an ounce. And I said, "Give me 5. I'll take 5." So I loaded them all up. And that weekend, I ended up hooking up with my first wife at the time. And of course, one thing led to another. And then by the end of the weekend, it was, "I love you. I love you. Let's get back together." And she said, "Not if you're going to be smoking that marijuana stuff. There'd be none of that." And I said, "No, no, honey, that's it. That's it. I'm done." So now I got these 5 ounces that I've got on me. And I thought, well, that's it. I'm done smoking pot. I'll just, so I just handed out to my friends. Well, what I didn't realize was that I guess this was, if it wasn't oregano, it was something close to it. So my friends are coming back to me, and I expect them to be grateful that I just gave them all this pot, but they're giving me shit because it was garbage that I gave them. So you try to be a nice guy, and that's where nice guys finish up. Okay. This
Yeah,
lemon berry is nice.
nice. What is it? Super lemony? I haven't had some good lemon terps that I'm at.
I'm not really good at the taste thing. I really, I'm really not. But I know it's quite resiny, and it's quite nice. Oh. Okay.
So
The other. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
go
I'll
ahead.
write it.
No.
You are you going to promise you remember?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I don't know what prompted me to think about this, where you were asking about different grows, and I just recalled a situation where and I think I was thinking about it the other day when I was watching you and Mr. 12 and 12. You were both carpenters, and I am not a carpenter. Okay, let's put that out there first. I'm not a carpenter, but at this point in my career, I built a number of grows, and I was getting pretty proficient at it and good at what I do. And Buddy decided to hire me as a consultant to build a grow for him. So I went over to his place, and we went into the basement, and I looked around, and I'm looking for the electrical and the drains and water. And I said, okay, I think what we'll do is we'll when I say we, I mean I'm telling them what they're going to be doing. I'm just a consultant. So I said, we'll start by taking out this wall right here, and then we're going to build it down this way and over there, and bing bang boom. So that's what they did. And anyways, 3 months later, I came back for my payment. And so he said, so I got to the house, and I said, yeah, here for my money. And he said, yeah, well, before we do that, he said, I want you to come and look at something. So I said, okay. So we walked down the hall into the bathroom, and he points up to the corner, and he says, see all those cracks up in the wall there? All those cracks that are coming down? And I said, yeah. And then he said, and over here, and he says, there's more cracks over there. And what he was getting at was the fact that I had told them to take out a bearing wall, a load bearing wall. Oh, Jesus. Well, I told you I'm not a carpenter. So that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, that could definitely cause some troubles, that's for sure. So what I was gonna ask you back in there a minute ago was I kind of caught the 60s and the LSDs reference there, and back there was a lot of lovemaking going back in there. I couldn't help but wonder. You mentioned the old Pornhub there in the beginning. Has it been going that strong since the swinging 60s and 70s? Is uh
Um,
that's a
I
fire, buddy. That's a fire.
Now I have to confess, I suppose I was a bit of a slut in my day, but that's behind me now. We don't go there anymore. 3 wives later, you'd think I'd figure it out, or you'd think that they like. I'm trying to think. Would it be their fault or mine? I haven't quite dealt with that yet.
Uh, on your side of the fence, I'd just go with it. It was their fault just for sleeping better purposes.
I
So
don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask there. It's also a pretty wide swath of cannabis use as well. I mean, we kind of wonder, what's changed in cannabis over the years. What have you seen change in the cannabis over the years? Bud structure. I mean, what have you noted throughout your years of cannabis?
Yeah, quite frankly, over the last year is since I joined this community is where I've really learned the more of the subtleties and the nuances of cannabis and the even down to and it was Mr. 12 and 12 that brought this to my attention. Um, well, I think the first time we met, and it was brought up on your show the other night. The benefits of the therapeutic benefits of growing cannabis, just the act of touching the plant and watering, feeding, defoliating, watching it grow, all the benefits of that are amazing in itself. I don't think I'm really answering your question. I guess what I'm trying to say is like up until recently, I just looked at it. I looked at it a lot differently. I looked at it just from a dollars and cents point of view as a mortgage helper, and I got better. I got better at growing over the years, but. And then, but over the last 2 years, I've really upped my game and looking more for growing the best I can, rather than just growing something to flog. I've taken a more, I don't know, personal interest in it. Having trouble finding my words here.
No worries, no worries. Excuse me.
So yeah, so and I had mentioned to Caribou that in my 35 years, I bet you I hadn't popped more than 100 seeds. Most of it's all been by clone. So it wasn't until the last year and two that I've gotten more involved with more specific strains, more getting involved with autoflowers. I've set up a tent here, and I build it as like I wanted to. The main reason I set up the podcast was to try to assist new growers. And I know that we have a lot of podcasts out there that are devoted to helping new growers, but I like from a personal aspect, I've never grown in a tent. Never grown in a tent, and I've only grown monocrops. I've never, done any research onto a specific strain and what are the benefits and all of that kind of stuff until the last year. So when I say new growers, in spite of the fact that I've been doing this most of my life, to me, this is going to be a new grow. And I'm really excited about it. I just took down the strains that I got from Caribou, and I'm setting up an autopot system. I'm going to be growing. I'm selecting 4 photo periods, and it's all going to be brand spanking new to me. And so I'll be able to get advice the same as any other new grower. There I go off on a tangent again. Why did I?
Blame it on the lemon berry, Miss Uncle Rick. Blame it on the lemon berry.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was if you planted a seed there, but you know what? I did taste a little bit of lemon in there. Yeah, yeah. I did a quick. Oh, it's still on my screen here. I was just doing a little bit of research on it, and they say that it's mostly sativa characteristics, 22% THC, known as lemonberry kush. Dabney blue and lemon Thai come together to produce lemonberry by fusion seeds. So. Very enjoyable. Yeah.
Nice. What is your favorite? I mean, you say you're not too good at tasting or putting a name to the flavor profile there, but what has been some of your favorite flavors over the years? You a fan of the pine? Or is there any certain flavor that hits you?
Well, interesting that you mentioned that, Eagle, because I was gifted from Sticky Fingers 420 some rosin, and it had an incredible piney smell that I really enjoyed. But on a side note, I moved up into the Caribou here about 15 years ago, and it was I guess maybe closer to 20 years ago that the pine beetle came through this part of the country and infected all of the pine trees, killing them pretty much. But 15 years ago, the pine was so predominant that I do recall when I first moved up here in the springtime, the smell of the pine. It was really beautiful. Sadly, we don't smell it anymore because the pine tree, the beetles have killed pretty much all the pine up here. We used to get the pine beetle used to be kept under control. But what it would require was temperatures of minus 30 Celsius for a period of at least 2 weeks in order to kill the beetle. But we haven't had those temperatures for a long time, and unfortunately, that guy got away on us. But the pine, yeah, I really do enjoy the pine. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites as well. I really enjoy the pine too. And Unfortunately, well, I think I may have figured out why I haven't been able to unlock it. Hopefully, that's the answer here in the future. Time will tell. But the last couple of years, I've been trying to grow it out here myself, and I've had quite a few people send me pine strains that they, know for a fact that can they contain a good pine terp to it, and I just haven't been able to unlock it here. And then again, I was talking with Mr. Toad the other night about pines, and we believe because he believes I don't want to take credit for anything that I come up with, but it makes perfect sense. Is there's a drain behind me here? I think is off gassing. I've been here 5 years. 2 years ago, I decided to pull up. There's a fatigue mat over this floor, and that's right about the time I tried to start unlocking the pine terps. And what I get out of every pine strain. So there has to be something in that terp profile that can swing that way. Is more what I call a dragon fruit, basically. It's kind of like a sweet berry, maybe a slight pine hit to it, but there's just something in this environment that won't let that terp profile come out. But that's my favorite too. That's what I ultimately am hunting for. It's very versatile. The pines are one for just kind of PTSD or clear-headed, great, good daytime smoke. It's also good for the lungs. Uh, for that aspect is it's amazing, and then for a recreational smoke it's outstanding as well. So one for basically one, maybe a half one depending on your smoking habits, to kind of clear the head and get that fire lit. But two good pine joints, and you're that, smile ear to ear, having a good conversation with people. That's what I love about the pines. That's why I want to get it back. I love a good smile and a good genuine laugh from the, deep in the belly there. Pines definitely help with that, that's for sure.
I'll let me do a little more homework on that and find out the where that strain, what the originate of that strain was, because it really was strong. I've never noticed a strong pine like that before.
Oh man. Well, there's been quite a few. I mean, come through here. For the Northern Lights is a good one. I mean, there's lots of good one. I've had the Xmas come through here. The J1, and a bunch of really good. The Tiger King came through here. Tiger King actually was the strongest one to show somewhat of a pine turf. But again, after drying that the berry, it's really weird. And unfortunately, now that I figured it out, I won't be able to kind of run the answer, I guess, to kind of test the theory. So we'll see. All I can
So,
do is bring those strains back in a new environment and
mm,
see if they produce there the pine terps, and then I can look back and go, yeah, there had to be something, in that environment. You know what I mean? All I can just confirm basically at that point.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I recall you discussing that with Mr. 12 and 12, and uh, yeah, he had said that on the one floor he couldn't grow, and on the top floor he could, and the only difference would have been the possibility of those of gases coming off there. Yeah. So it wouldn't necessarily be as simple as plugging up the hole, because this is like permeated the all of your environment, I guess.
Well, yeah, the hole has been plugged now for a good. I think I've had it plugged now for like 2 months, and I have ran pine. The Colombian is supposed to have a nice pine base to it, and although it's somewhat stronger, I can't say 100% I've seen a full recovery of swing. You know what I'm saying?
There could be some relationship there. Yeah.
They were saying in chat you need to smoke more.
You or me?
You.
Oh, more. Jesus, I'm stumbling and bumbling as it is, man.
So I also very much still agree with the growing aspect of it. It can be very calming. There's definitely something to the cultivation side of cannabis. That's where I think like you said, there's where most people find the game changing, finding that there is a true medical aspect to the plant is when they start to cultivate their own cannabis. I think that's where it kind of really clicks for a lot of people.
Eagle, I had a thought and I threw it out to our group the other night, and I'd like to throw out that challenge to as many people as I can get to, and that is try to think of a friend who is currently a smoker but not necessarily a grower, and start a plant for them, like either from seed or from clone. Get that plant started, and then give it to them as a gift, and see what happens. By this spring, if you can give somebody a plant as a gift, and just let them, and who knows, they may find that magic, they may find that passion. It's happened to you and me and so many others, and if we could just encourage one more person to grow, that's a step in the right direction. I think it's doable.
It is doable. I like the idea. I very much like the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm going to encourage more and more people, and maybe I don't need names, but I maybe just if I could start a list, if people are going to give me the name of somebody else that they're going to encourage, and then be a bit of a mentor to them, and then at the end of the year, see what happens, and yeah.
I think that happened quite a bit, probably for not the same intentions here, but and as soon as Michigan became recreational, I think that became the standard, to be honest with you, for a lot of folks. Because every household here in Michigan, recreationally can grow 12. So the first year, I think in every year since, to be honest with you, uh, every uncle, grandma, every relative, non-smoking, smoking relative, a lot of cannabis consumers have stashed plants over their house as either goodwill or just trying to overgrow here in Michigan. So I've always thought that's kind of funny. I've seen it across the board. Grandmas with plants in their backyard, aunts, uncles, friends. You know, uh, it's a good time for campus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are the limits up there in BC? Is it recreational for everybody, or is it medical? One or the other, both.
Uh, so it's for recreational, we're entitled to grow 4 plants per household, which, quite honestly, it's very limiting. Don't get me wrong; it's better than nothing, but it is still very, very limiting. If you're if you're trying to save, well, I mean, for plants, yeah. So, but for medical, that's based on between you and your doctor as to how much cannabis they want they figure you need to look after your ailment. So that varies from person to person, but legally it's for recreational, it's for household.
So everybody does have a chance to, you do have a good chance of getting everybody to grow there.
Absolutely. There's a couple of provinces that have held out, but hopefully that'll be reversed. But yeah, so but I'm a little surprised, quite frankly. And again, that's the primary reason I wanted to start this channel was I'm quite surprised that there aren't more and more people that are taking advantage of it. I don't know if it's the money, the expense, but then again, it doesn't have to be. It can be as expensive as you want it to be. Like if I'm giving the example of just growing one plant in your window, that's just where you can start. But I've lost my point there. No,
You were kind of talking about there about you don't understand why more people don't take it on.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. So is it the expense? Is it because it's too confusing, too overwhelming? So I was hoping that I could, create some simplicity around it. Or is it just embedded in? Now, a lot of people they don't see the value. For example, I would like to think that if I'm growing my own medicine, I know exactly if there's any pesticides being used on it, and exactly how it was being grown. But even more importantly, I can tailor that medicine to suit my own personal needs. If and in today's system, you can't really do that. You don't have a personal, like in Michigan, at least the caregiver works closer with the patient, but we don't have any of that in Canada. It's so distant. Like I can't contact the provider and say, well, yeah, it helps with my sleep, but it doesn't really help with my inflammation. They don't know where to, they're too big to be concerned about an individual and their needs. They're not going to grow a new strain just for me. So these are things that, but I think that in order for us to break down that stigmatism, we have to, I believe, show the medicinal benefits of this product, show the medicinal value. It's gotten such a bad name over the last 100 years as being such an evil drug that if people can believe and understand the medicinal value, I think it's going to break down that stigma. I hope.
I agree. I wish more people would realize the other aspect of it. The gains they'll have from the cultivation side. Again, there's a lot of benefits from growing your own cannabis, from saving money, quality of cannabis that you're consuming. Again, like you were pointing out, you can control more of the effects of the cannabis you're consuming, which is a lot. Plus, why you were thinking, I was thinking there, man, I wish there was a larger database patient, almost, and I know a lot of people are starting to hate this, but more of a bro science or patient science database where they're putting in their inputs from their personal experiences, what cultivars are helping with what, because it does take a lot of time to cultivate strains, especially from seed. And if that one that you've chosen for one reason or another, flavor, the picture you've seen, isn't the medicine that you desire, you know what I mean? Like you said, you might want it for sleep or pain. You might not want that pine that's got you up and running or whatever, you know what I mean? There might be some variances there, and if there was a more wider swath of a database where you could just type in your symptoms and, start from there, it would save a lot of patients some time. But as far as, other benefits of growing there, I mean, education alone, it starts with a very simple process, and then it steamrolls into I want to learn more. I want to learn about training the plant, or there's tons IPM. There's a lot of subjects to dive deeper and deeper in there, and all of which uh knowledge is power. You know what I mean? There's a lot to be said just for wanting to learn something. It enriches you as a person, and the deeper you get into it, I think it enriches your soul, you, in a lot of ways. So I think there's a lot of aspects to home growing that people really really don't even consider, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe not even believe it. And I think, the more that we get involved, uh, to get that fire started, and I'm glad to see that you're on board on, trying to do more in your region. You know what I mean? That's what it takes, is a grassroots approach, one-on-one, to light that fire. It's going to be key in the long run to making this possible for us all, because bigger scale growing, recreational grows, once that takes place to where it's all on t-shirts and all that, they're going to want to yank that home grow. And the more people that we've got that ignited that fire in, we're going to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder and protect our grows, you know what I mean? And it's going to be very key in the future, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I want to, I want to talk more about how excited I feel when I'm with my plant. Uh, it inspires me, gives me a reason to get up in the morning. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I squirreled there. What you got is the more lemon berry there.
No, I've decided I'm gonna head into the GG4. I don't know what's possessed me to want to do this, but I'm doing it.
Follow your instincts, Uncle Rick. Follow your instincts. So yeah, I'm super glad that you are trying to get more and more people involved with the cultivation of cannabis there. There are so many pluses there. So congrats to you on that level. The other thing I wanted to say about you mentioned you think people make it too complicated. Um, I think there's a lot of that to be said. You know what I mean? There's For most folks, when we started out early in the days, there wasn't that information. We had to make it more as simplistic. But these days, and then don't get me wrong, there's amazing information going around right now about technical cannabis growing. You know what I mean? But for some of these beginners that are wanting to grow, I think that if they were to tune in on the Future Cannabis Project or something like that, then they would be almost scared off, like they'd just been thrown into a college course. And you know what I mean? I think I think that there's something to be said about that as well. I think a lot of these approaches of teaching new people how to grow should be more simplistic, to be honest with you,
But
or
yeah,
beginner friendly.
yeah, I hear you. But yeah. So you could maybe tune into one of these programs and yeah, get the wrong impression. But there's room, obviously. I mean, I've really appreciated and benefited from so much of that information. But yeah, that that's a very good point, and that's something that has crossed my mind. Thinking, gee, if a new grower a new grower could easily be intimidated if they didn't realize that it is only a weed and it can be pretty basic. Yeah, I'm going with that autopot system, which it pretty much feeds itself. Um, and I was going to go autoflower, but then I thought for my first grow, again, trying to think as a new grower, autoflowers, they can be finicky. I mean, you can get lucky, but you don't get a second chance with them. So I thought, no, maybe better that a new grower learn on photo period. So again, like a new grower, that's what I'm going to do. And just four plants and I don't know, try to keep it, a basic feeding regime, basic training, basic trellising. Yeah, just try to keep it simple and hopefully encourage others to try it as well. There's just
So
I
what's
just
been
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna mix it up a little bit there. I was gonna ask you what has been your favorite place to consume cannabis? As have you been to a good event where concert? You know, what's been
Oh,
some of the funnest places you've consumed?
oh my God. I got to make a list now. You just brought back way too many memories. Let me start with this concert. This I was smoking a strain called Sumatra, and at the time I forget what what the price of pot was in those days, but my buddy had found this, and it was twice whatever we normally pay. It was twice as much from Sumatra. And I said, well, there's no way I'm going to pay that. And he said, well, suit yourself because it's almost gone. But then we smoked one and never got so high. But I think maybe he split his with me, but that was the end of that. Anyway, so me and this other buddy went to this concert. It was Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And I remember him and I found our way to the parking lot, and he was a little dizzy and said, well, I'll meet you. I'll meet you inside. So I said, okay. So I took off. I went inside, and it was about halftime when I remembered him. I had totally forgotten he was with me, that he was still back in the car. And suddenly he sat down beside me. Well, I couldn't believe that he had found his way back to me. But anyway, I guess he had passed out and woke up and then found his way into the concert. Anyway, that was my experience with Sumatra. But you also asked about other air. Oh, okay, okay. Here's a good one. So at one point, I used to work for the BC Ferry Service. We've got a quite a ton of islands that throughout the west coast, and they're all provided ferry service. And anyway, I worked on this ferry, and at the the galley is at the stern of the ship, and then the restaurant was in front of the. I was a waiter, and the restaurant was in front of the galley, and so what we used to do is we used to go up behind the galley and smoke pot, and so you could only go out onto the. I think it might have been called the poop deck or rear deck. I forget what they call it. Anyway, you can only get out there from one side of the ferry. So, and it was on the port side. So me and Buddy were on the starboard side smoking a joint. My other buddy was standing right in the middle, so he could see us, and he could also see my boss coming through this door over here. Well, we couldn't see him because we were standing over here. So my buddy, he had no way to warn us, and he said, Rick, he says, the boss is here. And I looked at him and I thought, well, what are you doing? And my boss, he heard Frank say to warn me, and he thought he's going to play a little trick on me. So he grabbed a mop. My boss grabbed a mop, and he come running around the ship, running all the way around like this towards me with this mop. Now I'm in the middle of smoking a joint, and he's running at me with this fucking mop. Scared the shit out of me. So now that wasn't probably one of the better places where I smoked a joint, but that was an exciting one. That was an exciting one. One more.
It'd be a little bit easier to take that mute button off.
Yep.
What has been your favorite career? Sounds like you've done a couple of things. What have you liked to done as a career?
Well, my favorite, my best career. I've been in sales. I've been a suit pretty much all my career life, and in sales most of my life. But for 17 years, I represented a publishing company, children's books, games, and puzzles, and it was really rewarding in the sense that I was selling children's books, so I was giving the gift of literacy, and I really appreciated that. So we were represented the largest publisher of children's books in the world. We had all the biggies, the Sesame Streets and the Disneys and all of that stuff. And yeah, so that was a really good time. But that was the first time I got busted, and I really blew that one. I was down in California when it happened, and I had and it was a long weekend. I did not have a lawyer on retainer, and I thought, well, I mean, I didn't know what to think, what was going to happen, and for a reason that to this day I'll never understand, I decided to write a letter of resignation to my company, because I thought, well, they're going to find out, then I'm going to be fired, so I may as well, beat the, so I'll just send my letter. So I was sitting at a pool in Los Angeles somewhere, writing my letter of resignation, and then we started heading back. I thought, well, I gotta face this, and it wasn't until like the Monday or Tuesday that I finally got in touch with a lawyer, and he said, where are you? And I said, well, I'm on my way back from California, and he said, oh, turn around and go back. I'll deal with everything here. And I said, no, you don't understand. I'm pulling my hair out here, and no, I'm not turning back. And he said, so it was no big deal to him, but it was certainly a big deal to me. Kind of cost me that 17-year career, but That's okay. I've had my highs and my lows, and if it wasn't for everything I went through, I wouldn't be here with you right now.
Well, I'd be grateful for that turn myself, to be honest with you. So, was it? I'm curious. I'm just real curious because I watched a thing last night on Amazon uh, about. So, were you doing publishing of when the time that Amazon came out, or was competing?
No, I left there in oh boy, around nine about 1995, around 1995. So Amazon, um, yeah, they were they had big box stores. Uh, or was it Amazon? Yeah, but we were more we weren't as much into the hardcover, the type of books that Amazon was carrying at the time. We were more like coloring books and crayons and games and puzzles and activity books, really focusing on children. Just little golden books, just all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really a factor. When Costco came to Canada, we served Costco. That was a big boon for our business. But by the time I left the company, Amazon wasn't as big a factor. No, I think we did like
Yeah.
barely 5% of our business with retail stores like that.
Well, I think you may, as far as like the bricks and mortar thing, maybe thinking of like maybe Barnes and Nobles or something like that, because that was the thing. Because it was kind of an interesting story, and I didn't quite realize that's how it had started either. But that's where it all started with Amazon, was with publishing. And when he started Amazon, it was all on the internet. There was no store, no nothing, and he wanted to build a catalog online because it was something that you couldn't basically house. You could have a bigger catalog like that, and he kind of it was a weird story on how he tried to drive out the little guys and then partner up with a lot of the big publisher companies and stuff like that. And it was a weird evolution to see him come from a guy selling books and publishing to see what Amazon had come today. But I was wondering, coming from like a publishing standpoint, I was wondering, I guess, if you could confirm some of the shit that they were saying about Amazon, uh, hardballing them and shit like that. That's why I asked if you were in publishing kind of at that same time as the early phases of Amazon. Say, I hear you really well. If you weren't a big guy, like I said, he tried to really force you out of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
publishing business. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
crazy. Completely uncannabis related, but I just, like I said, I happened to watch it last night and you happened to mention it today, publishing. I was just curious.
Do you remember when Bezos got it started, Amazon?
I can't remember the exact date, which it was. I want
Yeah.
to say like early 90s, like 98, 99, something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah. 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 They weren't really a factor when I was repping them.
So how'd that GG4 hit you, Uncle Ray?
Oh, we're doing great here. Had to put that out. Had to put that out a little early. I'll be
Right.
back. I'll be back. He's not far from me.
Um, so
Shoot.
Mr. Thunder Dan was wanting me to ask you about the aquaponics system in the trash. That's what he said.
Oh God, I love you, Thunder Dan, and you're just one of the reasons why I don't have my chat open today. Not that I don't love everybody there, but yeah, no. So I've got on good advice from my friends. I decided like normally I've got goldfish and they're like 5 years old and they normally I bring them in every winter and I put them in a 10-gallon tank. Well, they shit so much. And of course, my problem, I keep feeding them. And of course, if I stop feeding them, they wouldn't shit maybe. But, and so I spend my whole winter cleaning cleaning this tank. So this year, I thought, fuck it. So I got a 45-gallon garbage can, and that's where they're spending their winter. And I haven't had to, I threw an air stone in there. I haven't cleaned it once. As a matter of fact, I was feeding my plants here for the last couple of months. So we're recycling their work over there. It's been a great symbiotic relationship, me and my goldfish.
I'd be trying to feed it to my plants as well, to be honest with you, if I had some fish.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, now I don't know about the nitrogen near the end. I've got to find out a little bit more about that, if it's too much nitrogen, but other than that, it's probably good for them. Back to the well.
They've been good tonight. They've been good. They've said lots of good things.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, but if I was reading it, then they'd.
So what's your favorite way to consume cannabis? Are you mainly a joint smoker like myself? Do you prefer some extracts, bowl of hash? What's your favorite way to consume?
Yeah, so I enjoy smoking joints, and I've got this bong here. I enjoy this one. I also enjoy hash. I like to press my rosin or my keef into hash. I'm not really big on the dabs. I enjoy them every now and then, but I unless I do a cold start, I find them a little bit harsh. Not really used to it yet. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I go in waves with the dabs there. You know, they seem to like I enjoy the intense high of it, but I can always feel that in my chest afterwards. And that's the part of if, you know, after a few days or just even a few good dabs in a day, you know, I can feel the weight in my chest. And maybe
Yeah.
I've just missed my prime for dabbing or what, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So who has been your favorite guest? Well, I guess what has been your favorite topic you've covered so far on any of the shows that you've been in?
Oh my goodness. Well, we are leaning a lot towards the medicinal benefits of cannabis. I really enjoy. We like to interview people and take us into their grows. Enjoy a lot of that. We we will have a controversial topic coming up this Wednesday. We're doing the subject is going to be indigenous history and culture, and just some of the things that First Nations people are going through today, and so. The medicine and healing, a lot of it's got to do with healing. So looking forward to the program.
It sounds like a great episode.
Yeah.
Unique episode. Looking forward to catching it.
Yeah. Green Goddess, as you know, is indigenous, and so she's putting together a panel for to discuss the whole thing. So it's going to be very interesting.
Nice. I can appreciate it. I really do.
Yes.
So have you ever grown outdoors? Is it possible? I mean, I know Canada has some shorter seasons up there, but you're in particular locale. Are you able to grow outdoors?
The short answer is no. I've Lord knows I've tried. I have a beautiful spot up here, just over an acre, with the southern exposure, and I pretty much tried every year that I've been here. One year I had 60 plants growing here, and they're all 6 foot plus. But never could get them to finish. Never. The last few years, I've been trying different stages of autoflower, and again, without a lot of success. But not going to give up. I'm doing the autoflower thing again. We're quite a ways north. Like I think the Canada-U.S. border is about the 49th parallel, and we're around 53 or 54, which just about makes photoperiod impossible to grow outdoors unless you're using light deprivation, which is unfortunate. But anyways, I'm determined to get a decent number of autoflowers going this year. Last year we faced forest fires and heat waves, and then we had many other challenges. It's funny, we don't. I hear unfortunate people complain about wildlife and insects and so on outdoors, and that's if there's anything good about the area that we live in, we don't seem to have a serious problem with outdoor varmints. But if you can't finish off your plants, oh geez. So one year I had how many? Well, I should be able to remember because I think it was 20. I think I had 20 plants growing in 10-gallon pots, and they were all at least 6 feet tall. But again, it's probably early October, and these plants aren't going to finish. And so I'm talking to my buddy, and I said, yeah, well, here we go again, another year of failure. And he said, well, look, I've just taken down my crop, and if you want, you're welcome to use my my room to finish these things off. And I thought for a moment, I thought, well, gee, that's very thoughtful of you. But then what I forgot to take into consideration is this place is 2.5 hours each way from where I live. 2.5 hours. That's a 2.5 hours plus an hour or more of work there, and 2.5 hours back. And I do that 2 to 3 times a week for about a month and a half, and still I was very disappointed with the turnout of the crop. It was, oh my goodness. Oh, and so I can tell you that 20, either 19 or 20 10-gallon pots fit perfectly into a one of those horse trailers. It could be like a, I don't know, 10-foot horse trailer, 6 foot wide. And I loaded all these plants into this horse trailer, and then heading to this place, there's one point where we're going down a steep grade, and it goes for like probably a good 5 miles like this. And I had to pump the brakes all the way down. Oh my goodness, what a trip. What a trip. The things we do.
Right. So have you ever tried the autos indoors?
Uh, no, I have not. I tried about 20 of them outdoors 2 years ago. They all got about, I thought I might have enough to roll maybe a joint per plant, but it turned out I got about enough to roll one joint out of all 20 plants. And then last year, I subjected them to so much abuse, heat, and torrential downpour. But again, I'm not going to give up. So this will be my third run at them. I think I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna do better this time.
Brother, I haven't had much luck with them myself. I've only tried them 2-3 times at best. And every time I have, I've had, I don't know if it's a breeder. It's practically, you have to forget what you know. But most point, last time they were regular autos at that. And oh, it was just a miserable experience. I put down 5 thinking, yeah, I'm gonna try out these autos, give them another chance. And then I was talking, it was during one of our episodes on the Bro Show there. Skillbo says, they started to show sex yet? And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, those were rags. And I'm like, that's a fucking cruel joke right there. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Yeah, that shouldn't even be a fucking thing. And yeah, 3 of the 5 ended up being male. And at that point, I was like, I totally just didn't even give a shit at that point, to be honest with you. I practically shut off the light and just let the other ones just kind of die out. I was just over that little project. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah. So yeah, that was my last. It isn't necessarily usually, use our grower error or whatever, but man, yeah. Hopefully you come across some better genetics. Yeah.
I think that may be the key. I think we've got a lot to learn still about autoflowers, but they've come a long way. They've come a long way. Can you give me a rough idea where approximately where you live in Michigan? Like if this is Michigan, you're in northern Michigan, I got the impression, or if, near Lucerne.
I'm like more like up in this area,
Okay.
Close to the tip, but not quite.
Okay. So,
Just drop my joint.
oops. So you're fairly close to the Canadian border.
Yeah. Yeah, not really. I mean, I'd have to probably go north and over, I guess, to get to Canada, or south, or Port Huron, I guess, would be my closest over, right?
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of the 49th parallel, but then the Great Lakes, they come down into or Michigan, of course. Yeah. 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 Um, so you don't do much outdoor growing then?
Oh no, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm a caregiver and
Oh,
a perpetual grower, at that there's always usable kind of flower or harvest ready. I don't like to necessarily poke the bear too much or encourage people into thinking there's cannabis growing on the property. So I usually tend to stray away from it.
uh-huh.
Uh I do kind of use the outdoors as a little bit of a buffer, if you will, to be honest with you. There's times to where because of numbers, very limited to numbers, and the recreational and the medical have to be split up basically. So there's times where, you know, if I want to save a plant or re-veg a plant, I may throw it outdoors and kind of consider it to be uh, recreational
Okay.
until she comes back around, and then I can take some cuts off it, and then, you know, whatever happens to it at that point happens to it. But there's usually not a whole lot of love given to it out there after that point. But yeah, I went to give it a shot like 2 years ago, and then yeah, I had some problems with a neighbor on that on the property line. So basically, like right around the area, I was eyeballing to put some plants. Oddly enough, uh, the people behind me, the property behind me, decides to put a camper like right on the property line, overlooking like that area. I was like, son of a bitch. Out of all these years, you know, coincidentally, this year, that's where you want to drop something. All right. So, yeah, no. So, no, I tend this way from
Hmm. Yeah. 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 Well, I loved growing outdoors. I just have never really had much success at it, but uh, boy, getting the plants underneath that natural sunlight is pretty exciting. And then they grow so big. Oh my God. Even if they don't finish off, it's just great to look up at a plant.
it. Oh, that sun can definitely do some stuff for them, you know, especially as far as health purposes. You can definitely take a sickly strain from the indoors and put it outdoors for a month or so and bring them back a lot of vigor to that plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another good reason to throw them outdoors for, you know, a minute or two to kind of re-veg and do their thing. They come back quite vigorous after that point.
Yeah, definitely. I guess you have to worry a little bit about the IPM, but other than that, it's a good thing to do. Eh?
Oh, yeah, it's worth it.
Oh, I didn't read the whole. I did the description of this lemon berry. Uh, Dabney Blue imparts its berry flavors and the sweet aroma of blueberry muffins, typical of strains influenced by DJ Short's Blueberries line. Very nice.
Are you partial to any breeders?
Um, I guess the short answer would be no, but I have to say I like to support the different podcasts that have been affected and helped my life. And if I don't contribute through Patreon or some other means, then well, I got Irie Army's sweatshirt or what do you call it? And this next run, I'm running his oh shoot, Orange Gasm and Lemon Jeffrey. So that'll be this next run. So am I partial to them? Not necessarily. I've grown from. Actually, he's our sponsor for the Caribou Heart TV show. Would be smoke too much pot tonight. It'll come to me in a second. He's our sponsor, and he does a lot of the autoflower seeds. Come on, somebody in chat, like somebody help me here for God's sakes. And so I've grown his line before, and yeah. So I got a note on Instagram. Somebody just.
I got a lot of respect for Ross and Jeff there. Breeder interaction, I think's pretty cool and pretty key these days for them kind of answer their emails and DMs, kind of how to grow their streams. But yeah, I do have a lot of respect for Ivory, I guess.
And his Grow from the Heart podcast puts out a lot of fantastic information out there, and yeah, um, and um, and then the company that represents, well, one of the companies that represents him would be Seeds Here Now. Um, I've developed I've got I get the impression that they're a credible company from what I've picked up from our groups of people here. But like I said, I've just been dabbling in the seed business. I'm really looking forward to it. I was gifted some seeds from Rathufa, and that'll be part of my first run. And I won some seeds through Sweet Johnny Farms, and they'll be lined up for my runs. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a lot of fun with it. It's more of a fun thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. The other thing is fun. It's just it's more like work, but it's still a shitload of fun.
They said, I think in chat there, was it Mendocino 2020 you were thinking about? Miss Websport throughout.
Yes, I've given some thought to that, and I actually I've just got some seeds from is it Mephisto? Some autoflowers.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, and I want to try them. I was just watching a podcast from Humboldt Seed Company. I guess there's a lot of good names out there. But it certainly helps when you have people within your group, that you could just turn to them and say, "Who do you recommend for this type of seed?" And yeah, it's a good thing. I've got to say that the relationships and the friendships that I've developed, we've developed over this last year is just unbelievable. I don't want to do any name dropping, but I mean, you mentioned Thunder Dan earlier, and just Stony. Yeah, I got to be careful. I don't want to get started, but there's just so many
Go
just
ahead.
incredible people.
You're talking to a guy that does shout outs almost every episode. You know what I mean? So if you want to do some name droppings, go right ahead, brother.
Oh
There's so
my
many
goodness.
great people that deserve some shout outs, man.
Oh my
so you're gonna
goodness.
hurt my feelings. You want to spit some names. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So, well, with me, it has to start with Caribou. It was him that introduced me to this whole lifestyle, and then of course the crew from Caribou, just a fantastic bunch of people, and it was. I had in my mind for quite some time to put together another podcast, but it was Beaslebub that he finally put the prod into me and got me over the starting line and got me going there. So I'll always be grateful for that. and he took a little bit of a break from the show, but Green Goddess stepped in, and she's been co-hosting with me, and that's been a blessing for sure. And then all the other the side, G-Bay, Blue Kiss Gardens, where does it stop? I mean, it's just oh my goodness, it's just been an incredible ride, just an incredible ride. Yeah.
It is an amazing community, and forever building is the nice thing about it. And I'm pretty grateful for my little place in it too, my friend. Uh,
Yeah.
some of the best people I've met through my cannabis journey, hanging out in chat rooms, hanging out with in sub pools, forum, his little YouTube thing, his Instagram. I used to love the lives. So you
Yeah.
know, there's a lot to be said with the people, the knowledge that comes from this community. It's pretty diverse, and like we were talking about with Mr. 12 and 12, there is the diversity of people, you know, the walks of life in the cannabis community. It's easy to whatever subject you're talking about, or earlier as you can. Come on, Chad, help me. There's always, no matter what subject it is, you throw that question out there. You know what I mean? No matter how diverse the subject, there's always one guy. And sometimes it always kind of throws me for a loop where the information comes from, because now, you know, I haven't done necessarily, I don't know everyone. You know what I mean? I haven't done a one-on-one, and I haven't seen everybody's face, shit like that. So sometimes it's like left field when you see some answers come from. You're like, what, really? You're trying to
Yeah.
still put together, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
amazing thing.
So I have to ask you, you close off your shows usually by making reference to acts of kindness. So and that also that you have been the recipient, so you know exactly what you're talking about. Uh, and so I want to ask you about those, but I just want to tell you a little bit about one little act of kindness that really hit me, and it really made me think so much about acts of kindness, or not a religious person, but do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that type of thing, and give and you will receive, or give and expect to receive, even if you're if you do a random act of kindness over here, it may come back to you from a completely different area. Anyway, I was at one of the low points of my life. And like I said, there's been a lot of high points and low points. But if not for each and every one of them, I wouldn't be here with you right now. Uh, anyway, this was a low point. I was delivering pizzas for a Greek restaurant, and the parking area was at the back of the restaurant, and there were stairs going down to the back of the restaurant. And anyway, I got out of the vehicle, and Buddy approached me and said, "Hey, man, you know, I need some money for gas. Could you spare a few bucks?" And quite frankly, I really couldn't. But I don't know. There's something came. Anyway, so I gave him a few bucks, and I went into the restaurant and was speaking with the owner's wife, and I related the story of what just happened in the backyard, and she looked at me and she said, "You give with one hand and you take with the other, or you receive with the other. You give with one hand and you receive with the other." And I looked at her and I thought, yeah, I guess that's the way it works. You give and you receive. Uh, anyway, I just wanted to tell that little story. But like I said, there's got to be a story there with you about random acts of kindness.
Yeah, I took a deep breath. And,
I could see a
yeah.
little bit what's going on there, buddy. It's okay. It's okay.
Uh, yeah, I guess.
Habituk.
Now you gotta watch me squirm. uh,
by the way,
uh,
what, you're catching it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
this will be a toughie. Um, this is a tough. So basically, fuck. Yeah, it all stems from. I don't know if I can do this. Um, the multiple chances I've been given, I guess. First dropped off, just dropped off on somebody's porch when I was 6. Me and my brother. So I embraced for a good long time uh, from a great man who didn't have to. You know what I mean? One of the biggest acts I've ever seen. And then again at 16 on my own and helped out many a times from many people. So yeah, I've actually been on my own since 16. Uh, and yeah, cannabis has been huge through my life. Uh, I've actually had to hustle it at several points to just to stay alive, you know. So yeah, let's just say I've seen many. Toughest question I've ever been asked, Uncle Rick.
But it makes you the man you are today, my friend. Yeah. And I don't even know if you realize how much you give back to this community. I, I, I feel it all. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a tough comeback, brother. I've been avoiding that question for so long, to be honest with you. Ugh. So yeah, there's a lot to it. It's very heartfelt when I say that night after night. I do believe in those words.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good words to live by. Absolutely. Yeah. Don't be selfish. Give.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Mm.
Cannabis has definitely had a huge backbone with me. You know, like I said, from early on to current, it's had a hell of a evolution with me. When, why, reasons I keep around currently. The evolution has been incredible. Would I change any of it? You know what I mean? But like you said, some of the greatest people I've ever met has been through the cannabis community. Even it might have even been his fronts. You know what I mean? That chances of running for a minute to build up some cash or whatever. But man, I've had a lot of help, a lot of knowledge, a lot of reasons to fight for this plan. Uh, my friend. So it's incredible. And nowadays, it's definitely, as I said kind of earlier, it definitely starts off at some point recreationally, but these days it's all medical. I've seen that transition of it saved lives, you know what I mean? Not necessarily just be a good time or a crutch or a break from a situation, but I truly see the power in the plant of cultivation, like we talked about, the relief from stress and anxiety, the lie of your mind, take a break and just fade into nature, even if it's in temporary indoor nature. But to get people off of opiates, I've seen, terrible opiate addiction through my journey. And we can save anybody's life and get them off of that, ease anybody's pain, as I talked about with Mr. N12 and 12. Uh, Quality of life is huge. And I see uh, the impact of the quality of life that cannabis can give, not just as a medicine, but cultivation, the community. Uh, it's huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, one thing that I perceive as it should be pretty obvious is that for the treatment of PTSD. There's two symptoms of PTSD that are seem to be quite common. One is that like cannabis has the ability to suppress dreams, i.e., nightmares, and a lot of people that suffer from PTSD have nightmares. Also, cannabis has a tendency to keep you in the present rather than think about the past, where maybe some of these traumatic cases took place. So cannabis is helping you, deal with staying focused in the present and reducing or eliminating nightmares. Pretty straightforward there.
for sure, for sure. Uh, it's endless the amount of benefits there is from this plant. It does. It suppress. I don't have a lot of dreams. I don't dream a whole lot. I actually think I dream more when I'm awake than when I do sleeping for some reason. But yeah, I think it's 100% because of my heavy cannabis use that I don't remember my dreams. I don't think that I don't dream. That's just I'm not remembering for
Yeah,
one reason or another.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're giving me some cred, incredible cred there in the chat. They're giving me lots of love.
Let me just try to think
Cheers.
of. Let me just try to think of uh, the uh, the Weed Nerd show. Like the now, uh, uh, I've met Mr. Greenfingers. He came on the show one time and got to know him and Loyalty Organics he came on the show and Stony Rockefeller's been on the show. Thunder Dan has been on the show. Um, and Loyalty Organics took a tour of the expo in Las Vegas, and we're putting together a bit of a show on that alone. So that'll be fun. And then some of the people that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting but hope to is Johnny Caniseed and uh, oh, it just goes on and on. So what happened was I quite frankly, when I got into podcasts, participating in podcasts and then watching podcasts, and quite frankly, I'd look at your show and think, my goodness, it was so intimidating because could be like 4, 5, 6, 8 hours long, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. But I saw enough bits and pieces, and I had enough recommendations that I thought, I got to give this a try. And well, once I've got my life full of podcasting and watching other podcasts, when do you think I'm going to find time for Eagle Gardens? I mean, I'm already out of time, and but somehow I just, if it's important enough, you make time. And it's really been a pleasure getting to know you and all of your crew, SoCal. I just can't wait the opportunity to say, fuck you, you fucking fuck.
I definitely enjoy SoCal's I the realness. Um, yeah, I appreciate that. Let's be honest with you. I give a lot of respect to him, Johnny Candace, all them, everybody listed. Great people in the community, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Again, all owed every one of these meats to the planet, man. You know what I mean? As
Uh-huh.
you were talking about earlier, the people you've gotten to meet just in the last few years from the opportunities through doing the shows and stuff like that. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The other thing I really like is it transcends from community to community. You know what I mean? For most people I talk to, I try to, and I think it's true. I think there's a fine line between cannabis community and cannabis industry. And the cannabis community is huge. It's the heart of it all. To be honest with you, I think the things that kind of go bad, go sour, the partnerships, blah blah blah, all happens in the industry end of it all, where monetary value all kind of steps into it all. But man, the community, the people that do it because they love it and all that, amazing people, amazing people.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, yeah.
So
Good quarter ride.
how'd you end up at the hydroponic store? And was that a fun job?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. Um, this young fella opened up a hydroponic store about 10 minutes. I live about half an hour uh, from 100 Mile House, which is a community of maybe a couple of thousand people. And it's about half an hour drive. This fella opened up a hydroponic store about 10 minutes away. And it was, I swear, well, I can figure it out pretty quickly. It was probably 12 by 20, 12 feet by 20 feet. And that was the whole size of this store. He'd been bringing a 40-foot trailer parked up beside the store. And anyway, I was in there one day. I mean, it was just so convenient to picking up supplies, and I was getting to know him, and a likable young fella, and he was complaining about not being able to keep any staff. And I said, well, look, I'll give you one day a week. And uh, he said, okay. So that's what we agreed to. And then it was like within 8 months or so, he decided he found another location in town. So he moved, and I stuck with him for a little bit longer, but it took a little bit of the fun out of it. And in that time, I was probably there close to a year, and it was just just a ton of fun, and that's how I met Caribou. So I'm grateful for him for meeting Caribou, and but I never took a pay. I only worked 1 day a week, and I think like getting 15 or 20 bucks an hour, but I just take everything in supplies. I kept myself well stocked in cocoa and perlite and everything I needed. So it was good that way. And it got me out of the house, but I miss my dogs. And and when it stopped becoming fun, then I thought, no, I better not play anymore.
I would think that'd be a good introduction to doing something like this, the one-on-one with the guys, people walking in, the banner with new growers and stuff like that.
Exactly. And you know something, I don't have one in front of me, but as a matter of fact, I had this, like, as soon as they legalized recreational, I thought, okay, there's a business here, like some type of consultant. Now, keeping in mind, I had no idea about all of this, what we're doing right now, here and now, all this podcasting stuff. I had no idea it even existed. Like somehow it just went right by me. Uh, where was I go? Oh, so, but anyways, I thought, yeah, there's got to be a consulting business. I'll set up new growers with their 4 plants. They'll have a tent, and and then I'll get them all set up, and I don't know how much I'll charge them, maybe a couple of $100 to get them going, and then I'll give them free consultations by telephone or something. Uh, and but then in reality, like, hey, I'm retired, like, I don't need to start a new business. And in addition to that, like I said, like, my community probably is probably in the middle of summer, maybe 200 people, and a couple of thousand, half an hour away, and then I'd have to drive another hour and a half to get to another community. It's just not practical. But I was still believed so much. I went out. I had business cards printed. I had, like, I don't know, a box, maybe 500 cards printed, and then I got them, and I forget they weren't that expensive, like 30 or 40 bucks or something. And then I looked at the card and I thought, nah, that's not quite right. So I ordered another 500, knowing, like, I'll never create any kind of a business, but at least I'll have a card and I'll have a name, and the name was Let's Be Buds. So guess what? Now, instead of a business, I have a podcast. So there you go. But funny how that
I like it. I like it.
I was just and
So,
I won't give up.
were you at that point again able to actually talk about cannabis? Because, man, even as late as what, 18, 17, 18, talking about seeds and stuff like that, and grow in some of the grow shops around here. I mean, they didn't want to talk about anything like that. So were you still kind of dancing around the subject with the term tomatoes and stuff like that? Or I guess did they even care at the location where you were?
Yeah, at this point, of course, it was legal. So I mean, I had to straighten him out about a couple of things, because I know there was other activities going on around the store that I wasn't very happy about, and I said it won't happen on my watch, because I'm not going to risk everything I have at home because you might want to be, putting something out the side door. And so anyways, we resolved that. But where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So anyway, when I worked at the shop, it was all legal. But, you're right. Like, even after something like that becomes legal, it's because it was illegal for so long. These thoughts are ingrained in your mind. I know, uh, when after I had a proper legal medical license, I would still walk out of my room and look up into the driveway thinking, well, the cops are going to be there. I just know they're going to be there. Or every time if I drive away and I see a cop drive by me, I'm sure that he's on his way to my house. That's just the way you live. And even going to a grocery store, you talk about it's all tomato talk, and yeah. But it was like a big light switch went on when suddenly I I can't believe how this incredibly enormous, wonderful, loving, caring community was existing without me knowing about it. And yeah, so it's really changed my outlook, and yeah, it's been great.
Well, I kind of, again, you kind of look at things as a blessing, I guess. At earlier points in life, would you have been able to dedicate this much time into, throwing in, like I said, the podcast, multiple shows and stuff, like diving as deep into the community as you are now? Sounds like the perfect time, perfect place, perfect, you know what I mean? All
Oh,
lining up.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, my friend. Quite frankly, I think it was probably maybe about 2 years ago. I I wanted to adopt the attitude of, you know something, I've lived on this planet long enough. I've learned everything I need to learn. I'm sick of learning. I don't want to learn anymore. Fuck you. And then I discovered this community, and God, I can't I can't learn enough. And so it's like changed my whole outlook on life, and yeah, and probably the prime okay, there was three main reasons that I wanted to start the podcast. One, to try in some way to assist new growers. Number two, to preach the medical benefits of cannabis. And number three, to do what I can to remove the stigma. But more importantly than anything else, I'm really truly hoping that I, in my own way, I can give back. Cannabis has given me so much in my life. This community has given me so much, and I just want to try to give back just a little bit. And if I can make a couple of people laugh, and a couple more people have a desire to grow a plant, and we look at cannabis differently, then I've done my job. And so the timing has been great. I retired quite young, actually. I wasn't 60 when I retired, and yeah, so the timing has really been good. I can give a lot more, and because I've gotten so much in return. Like I said before, you take it from over here and you give it back over there. So there you go.
Right. That's and I think talk about way weird things come out of different situations. I think a lot uh this pandemic time actually had a weird effect about ripping away a lot of the stigma as far as cannabis goes. The promotion of overall wellness is being essential, you know what I mean? uh
Yeah.
has helped a lot for cannabis, to be honest with you, in the last couple of years. And then, of course, being locked in with nothing to do but smoke cannabis has definitely helped the community a whole shit ton. So I'm
That-
grateful for all of that as a weird side effect out of it all.
yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. And yeah, true that yeah, probably podcasts have really grown because of the pandemic. But I would like to think, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, that one day this is all going to be behind us, and even and when that happens, our community will still thrive. We're just going to get bigger, and just on a side note, we all have our struggles with legalizing cannabis or normalizing it, or and we can never let up our guard. Uh, uh, I wanted to make a point by all of that. No, it's gone. It's gone. I was I was on a roll there, man. About legalization. No, I guess, yeah. Just we can't let up our guard. It's still a long ways from where we want it that it should be. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm fearing it in a lot of ways. And more over, I want more fucking people growing before it's on the table, to be honest. You
Yeah,
know, like I said earlier on, we need a more of a power in the vote. And the more people that realize, the other side of the not getting high side of cannabis, the pure medicine, I think the stronger the fight will be. To be honest with you, I think as far as legalization goes, it needs to be in black and white. There's no worries about your right to grow. Has to be right there, right from the get. There should be no gray area. You know what I mean? Or immediate lobbying against taking it away. With you. And
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah,
power in numbers. There's power in numbers. So the more people, me and you and everybody else, spread seeds, spread clones, spread knowledge, you know what I mean? The greater
yeah,
will be when
yeah,
legalization comes into play.
yeah, yeah. I think the point I wanted to make, Eagle, was that my point is that we have developed a steamroller effect, this big snowball effect. And, sometimes we can be disheartened or, maybe disillusioned by how things are progressing, but it's not going away. We're here to stay. And yeah, and but let's, like you say, the more people growing, the better, for sure. Yeah. And we can overgrow the government. We can overgrow big pharma. We have that ability. It's amazing. Just you and me, two just little people. We have the power to overgrow big pharma and the government. But like you say, it's all starts with our right to grow. But I see where that has been taken away. Where in some cases it's a good friend. We've developed a relationship recently, baked in the bluegrass from Kentucky. Kentucky, still illegal. It's illegal. Like it's hard to wrap my head around that. Like personally, I thought it would never happen in my life that cannabis would become legal. Um, it's happened, but then now I just take it for granted. And but it wasn't until I spoke with Bake that I went, oh my God, it's illegal in Kentucky. Yeah.
It's crazy because it's hard to believe there's still people going to jail from it. There's
Oh,
people. It's hard to believe that don't even know that there's shit like this even going on because it's not even a possibility. It's not even an interest. You know what I mean? There's no even reason to get on YouTube and look for reasons to grow and shit that are completely missing out. I mean, we're missing out on still a huge swath of people yet that aren't even taking the first steps into growing. I think you know what I mean. There's still a lot of good things to be had as far as that goes. New growers, people being interested in it and stuff like that. But like you said, man, it's mind blowing that there's still people going to jail being punished that are taking a huge risk for using cannabis either for medicine or recreational purposes. It's crazy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Listen, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I will. We OGs, we put up with a lot of looking over our shoulders, and a lot of people. I touch wood. I mean, I've made a lot of lawyers' children's tuitions a lot easier to pay through my charges, but I haven't spent any time behind bars. But no, there are a number of people out there that have, and they paved the way for you and I for legality today. So I'm grateful for them. Yeah, but it's still going on today. I'm sorry, you're muted. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said most definitely thankful for a lot of those people that's taking the bullet for us to get to where we are today. That's for sure.
Yeah, darn it. A good buddy who was in the podcast about a year ago, Terpington, he goes by on Instagram. He came on the show last Sunday morning, and it was sure nice to see him. But the next day, he was beginning a 3-year stint for cannabis in a state penitentiary. So it's still going on today. Yeah. Yeah. But so we can't give up the fight.
So do you enjoy the edibles at all? I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff out there. Do you eat edibles at all? How do you feel about the edible side of cannabis?
Yeah, I enjoy them. I'm really focusing and dialing in my RSO, but no, I've enjoyed gummies. I've enjoyed chocolate. I've enjoyed mushroom infused chocolate. That's quite nice. But the gummies are fine. I like to do a fairly decent dose, probably 300 milligrams, something like that. Gives me a pretty good. I mean, it doesn't matter. They all give you that the dry mouth, but for some reason, the edibles really give me the dry mouth too.
Have you ever had a like psychedelic experience? What is the highest? Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun ride. I mean, especially with legalization these days. I mean, we can kind of barely still kind of know the effects of what we're getting into, but prior to the legal market, I mean, at home brownies, shit like that. You get pretty buzzed off some cannabis. What's the highest you've actually been off of edible? Have you ever taken it to uh hallucination? Because you can hallucinate off some edibles now. I'm not suggesting anybody run out there and try it, but if you have, it's not all bad.
No, I've been pretty high, and I've been to that high extent where I passed out and then woke up, and it was dark out, and I thought it was morning, but it was still nighttime. So I got up and made the coffee and brushed my teeth and scratched my balls and showered. And then I looked outside, and then of course it's light, it's getting lighter out. And I go, wait a minute, this is not right. But I do recall it was my second marriage, and we were going to Mexico, and we decided to make some brownies for the trip. We didn't want to take any cannabis with us, but we thought we'd sneak the brownies on the plane. So our flight was Vancouver, Los Angeles, Mexico. And so we broke out the brownies between Vancouver and Los Angeles, and the whole plane smelled. I mean, it was because it was the old time recipes. I mean, we didn't do the decarboxing or anything like that. We just throw it all in a mix, and onto the plane we go. So we arrived in LA, and I can't remember the date. Well, it would have been around 1980. No, it was 1986, and our Canadian Olympic mile runner broke a record for the mile, but then they found out he had steroids. And we were in the LA airport bar when they came over the news. But my wife at the time had passed out, and so we had to usher her onto the next flight, and that was brownies. Yeah. Mhm. It's the brownies that get you.
Man. They will get you. Man, the old school kind of brownies where they just kind of threw everything in there, weren't so wise about baking it into the butter and all that shit. Those things could have been sold for fiber bars, man.
Yeah, picking the straw out of your teeth. I know. Yeah, exactly. You know the ones.
Met this sweet older couple, I'll say, uh not so long ago. I guess about 4 years ago, maybe. And man, I'm man, I stopped for a seed sale, to be honest with you. And it ended up being there probably about 4.5 hours. And going over strain by strain, kind of listening their story, his growing experience, and all that. And the guy's wife went by the handle of Brownie. That was her, I guess, patch name, I guess is the way you could put that, uh, was Brownie. And she says, I make the best brownies. That's what I'm known for, strongest. I'm thinking, yeah. She's like, would you want some right before I left? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll take a couple brownies. And of course, I indulged about after I pulled out. No sooner in my hand, you know, thank you. Driving down the road. And again, we're talking like 18 in that area. You know what I mean? Cannabis edibles have come a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm driving down the road, no drink, no nothing. And I throw this brownie back, and just like you're saying, still full of cannabis, and it is all wedged in my teeth. Not only that, it went like to the stomach and seemed to like explode into the fluids already into my stomach.
Yeah.
Just like I said, it's like a fiber bar. An old school cannabis brownie can take you a long way. So, you know what I mean? But it was a good ride. I just couldn't. I wasn't expecting it, and you know what I mean. This day and age, especially from, I guess, lady named Brownie. I guess it kind of threw me off. That for some reason, I don't know. Definitely a great brownie, nonetheless. But yeah,
Yeah, you had a Pearl on as a guest recently. She does some incredible work with edibles. She's from Michigan. Her name Pearl.
yeah. Hurley Baker.
Yeah, thank
Hurley
you.
Baker.
Yeah. She does some beautiful work with edibles. Wow. Yeah, there's some really talented people out there with that do stuff with chocolate and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh man, I love some of the edibles. Yeah, I remember her name because it's so fun to say. You know what I mean? Like it's got that old Southern Purtle, Miss Purtle and Baker. You know what I mean? It's fun to say. It is really fun.
Hey, there's a couple. Hey, how about ye ma fucking ha? That's
Oh,
a good name, huh? That's a good name. Ye ma fucking ha.
there's so many fun ones out there. Yeah, I appreciate some fun ones to say there. But yeah, as far as edible goes, man, I love the just like I like to get anything else. Is like at a lot of these cannabis events, man. You know, COVID amp. I think COVID gave Michigan a chance to amplify the community we had going. You know what I mean? Because if you look at a lot of what's kind of going on in the like I don't know, YouTube community, I guess, is kind of Michigan based. Uh, of course, you know, you got the bros, myself, Hagen, you know, there's a bunch of great, but as a
Michigan Mondays,
community, yeah, Michigan Medicaid Mondays,
Medical Mondays. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and well, there's bits and pieces of Caribou that are close,
yeah,
I guess.
and Cannabis Lifestyle TV. They're out of Michigan, I
There you
believe.
go. And we were always blessed to kind of get to know one another at these events a little bit before all of this. So it was good times, but that's what I really love about the edible. So I got squirreled, I guess, off my main point was I love going to these events, and because we have a lot of them here in Michigan, and they were all mainly caregivers or an opportunity to had stuff like that on a wide scale basis, and it was fun, you know, seeing what they had, and it was always good prices and shit like that. And man, oh, I am a definitely sugar is could be one of my weaknesses, man. Some of them sweet edibles, woo, $5 for like two sittings of like a cake, you know what I mean, or a pie that looks like it just came for some high time shop or something like that. Yeah, there's definitely some good, but you can only get that I think from the events, some local events. Uh, there's something to be said about that. I can't wait. I'm bright-eyed, bushy detailed about spring coming up and the the opportunity of heading out and getting the chance to get some of these
Yeah,
edibles and cannabis and community.
yeah.
It's definitely a recharge if you haven't had a chance to hit some of them events. Do you have them up there?
The short answer is no. we we have the one event a year, 420. We have a 420 event, and that's growing and developed into a big. Oh boy, I'll bet you there's in the neighborhood of probably 100. Oh, well over 100,000, probably closer to 150,000 attend that one. That's a pretty big one. But other than that, we don't really have any. And I don't know. In a lot of people's minds, it's like if there was an event, I don't know if sanctioned or unsanctioned. Well, probably yeah. You probably want it to be sanctioned. It could be a place where the cops are just going to be uh, trying to nail people when they drive away. I guess it hasn't been legal long enough for us to develop this kind of an atmosphere community. I really am jealous of not only yourselves but many other communities in the U.S. That hold these events. Yeah, we don't have anything like that.
Well, hopefully that changes.
Yeah.
Nothing like getting out there, meeting the breeders, some of the local breeders and stuff like that. Breeders are willing to travel, like I said, uh, local edibles and stuff like that, caregivers. I don't know, man. I love that shit.
Yeah.
I love
And,
that shit, Uncle Rick.
right on, right on. And you know something that it seems to be very consistent when I hear people talking about these events, people that they have met through podcasting, uh, time and time again say, you know what? When you meet them in real life, they're just the same people. They're just the same people. Hear that over and over again. Yeah. It's funny. I don't know how I can how or you or anybody can develop such strong relationships and feelings for people that you've quite frankly never met.
Well, it, I think it's just being able to relate to so much. The camaraderie of I don't know. And like we said, at one point we had to hide it. We were ousted or made feel less than for our cannabis use. Uh, so, and I say this a lot. I think at it, we're all misfit at some point in the cannabis community. We were made to feel less than ousted. We stood around, hid our cannabis use from one person or another, or when we did talk about it, we talked about had to not raise our head high like we do now. You know what I mean? It was all well, when you were
Uh,
talking to people that didn't consume, but in the cannabis community, it's not like that. We're allowed to, not hide it. You know what I mean? Talk about our consumption, be who we are, and show the love for the plant that we all have. And I think that's a huge part of it all. You know,
you know, maybe that's a positive, and we have to take negatives and turn them into positives. And maybe you hit the nail on the head. Maybe that's a positive reason why, we uh, care about the plant and each other the way that we do is because our community has been looked down on for so long. So maybe it's
I
our way
think
of defending each other or something.
well, again, our love for the plant has kind of forced us to be introverted. You know what I mean? It's because of like like we're talking about the ill effects or viewpoints of other people looking down at us because of our consumption or growing or whatever, you know, has been, it's sad. It's just I kind of squirreled at my point there, but sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's sad that that's the way that we're made to feel because of the people that have looked down on our group for so long. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of I regathered a little bit there. So as we were forced to be introverted a little bit there from our use of cannabis or dealings with cannabis, slowly as these opportunities, forums, and as time progressed, YouTube and stuff like that, where we could, talk to one another and still have the screen name anonymity, you know what I mean? Helped kind of know that there was other folks out there, you know what I mean? And I think it's through these times and legality that has enabled us to take this further step, you know, for the visual part of it all, putting a name with a face. When I started this a few years ago and I started putting faces with names, it completely fucking changed for me. And it still does, now that I've heard, any of you guys, the one-on-one, I don't the names and shit are going through chat, I don't see the name anymore. It's automatically, I can hear the voice. I can, as I hear Tal's name going by, I can hear, it's very much more personal. And again, even though me and Tal haven't never met, we've built a relationship through chats, a fun, back and forth and stuff like that is built through the years, a little, trust. And as time progressed, it's just building and now being able to see faces, put faces and shit with who we've been talking to definitely makes it feel more familiar-ish.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a wonderful thing. Yeah. And we're just normalizing it more and more.
It's definitely going to be a good thing here in the future. It's more and more what's growing.
Yeah.
More people get introduced into the community. It'll be more and more fun as well.
Yeah. Yeah. When more and more politicians get on board and yeah, we spin
So
it
have
along.
you,
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you if you've fired up. Are you ready to fire up the other half of that GG4 there?
You're a bad influence on me, Eagle. Bad influence. Was having trouble with this thing earlier, but we'll give it another shot.
So do you have any dreams of going to any cannabis locations? I know I've met a few people along this show journey that have kind of like put the vacations, you know what I mean, together according to meeting cannabis folks or seeing cannabis locations. Have you ever Spanibus? You know, is there somewhere that you'd like to go someday and one of these events, a cannabis dream
Yeah.
location?
Yeah, well, there is a couple of events coming up. I've been to the 420 event a number of times. I do have a story about that one. But to answer your question more directly, actually, this year there is an association in the province of British Columbia, who well, they're making an attempt to make cannabis more accessible through other avenues other than the big multiple or the multi-level companies, through craft producers, that kind of thing. They're having a 2 or 3 day event in Kelowna, BC, which is not too far from here. I have heard rumors of maybe some type of event back in Ontario, which should be just above you in Michigan, and that would be cool. Although I have a little bit of a problem. It's got something to do with a criminal record that doesn't allow me to go down to the States, anyways. But it'll probably be nice if it was tied into something near Michigan. If it was in Ontario near Michigan, there might be some overflow of folks traveling up to Canada. That'd be cool.
I'm down, man. I haven't been to Canada in quite some time, but I'm not opposed to it. That's for sure. I would definitely travel to go to one. That's for sure. I used to actually, when I was young, man, I used to head over to Canada for drinking purposes when I was 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been over there. Oh wow, it's been a long time since the the need not to go over there obviously took over when I was 21, and it's been a long road since 21. So yeah, it's been. I don't even want to think. I don't even want to start doing the math on how long it's been since I've been to Canada. To be honest with you, too long, Uncle Rick.
Well, maybe we'll give you an excuse to come back.
There we go.
Yeah, we seem to have a lot of people in our community from the Ontario area. Well, and it's the biggest populated area in Canada as well. So it makes sense.
So I heard you discussing drying a little bit when the show started there. Uh, how do you dry? What is you a whole plant hang guy?
Yeah.
You mind me asking?
Yeah. Again, when it was just about the money, it was it was a wet dry, and but it was a learning curve, and but now I've got a really nice drying area, but again, so much of this is before I met this incredible community, and I just had to learn things on my own. I just didn't think that there was any way. I've heard of people hanging their plants up to dry, and I thought, well, maybe there's something to it. I didn't know anything about the benefits of a slow dry and so on, uh, and so I hung everything up, but I hung it up in the same room that I was growing in. So of course the temperature was like 80 some odd degrees in there, and it just dried it to a crisp. And I hung it all in little branches, dried it to a crisp. But now I've really been working towards the ideal situation. And yeah, I got about a 12 by 12 room, and I've built a thing I can hang the full plant. I hang the whole plant, and I usually get at 60 degrees and 60% humidity. I'll usually get like 10 to 14 days. I'd like to shoot for 14 days, but it doesn't always work for me for my dry.
Yeah, so many people can be so picky about their drying process, I guess. Uh is it hang drying more of a matter of convenience? Do you believe it adds something to it? What are your thoughts on just drying methods in general?
Yeah, yeah. I'm easily influenced, swayed, and if enough people or if somebody of influence suggests to me that it's better that I hang the whole plant, or better that I leave a lot of the leaves on, or that it does a better job, then I'm swayed to give it a try, and that's where I've kind of been for the last about a year and a half. Is I do the whole hang dry, and usually I have people come in to help me do the trim, do the dry trim, and I do believe that the quality of the flower has improved, definitely improved. Uh, the smell, and probably the smell more than anything else. And oh no, and the taste, of course, the taste. It's not as harsh. And yeah, so I once it's dry, then I'll take the whole plant, and then I bring it into the other room, and I just cut off the branches from my people that are helping me, and then I use the trim bins. It's fantastic for collecting all that keef, and yeah, how I do it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate that. I I guess the way I feel about trimming or excuse me, uh drying could vary, I guess, from the book I'm reading and uh, the way I'm feeling, I guess, in life kind of correlate, you know. But a lot of I'm not ashamed to admit that some of these quicker drying methods I'm hip to. I think it's I think a bad quick dry in a big room with and a fan may be detrimental. My shoulders all jammed up from hanging cabinets yesterday. Fucking fucking can be all right, I guess a quick hang or quick dry in a large environment where it temperatures may be out of whack, fans blowing on it, can be a little detrimental to your cannabis. But in a quick dry in a machine to where the terps are being kind of locked up in there and it has more of a quick process to it. I'm a believer to that now, to be honest with you. I'm more of a believer that it's all about a quicker preservation. You know what I mean? It doesn't have a lot more ill effects. I don't see a lot of the terpene loss from some of these drying machines from the quicker dry time as we're always heard to hear that you'll get from a quick dry in an open room, zero humidity, high temperatures, and like that. I think there's something to be said about some of these newer, quicker drying methods. I don't think it's detrimental to cannabis as we think. Now, the hippie side of me, when I'm kind of uh, being more mindful and again reading more mindful plant-based books, plant medicine and shit like that. Uh Again, I go back and forth with the whole hang versus trim, a wet trim and hang. I don't think necessarily a wet trim is being too detrimental. I think it is speeding up the process a little bit, but I don't think it has too many ill effects on the overall quality of your cannabis. But then again, like I said, I get more hippie-ish and more mindful, and it tells me like the people that are more tend to leave more plant material on the plant, um, and try to do a slower, more controlled dry. Ultimately, are keeping that plant alive and kicking for a longer period of time and letting the plant change and ripen out in a different way than a quicker cure would allow. Even though, like I said, a wet trim where you're trimming it nice and close does retain a lot of that. Again, a quicker preservation. I believe like leaving more material on the plant and letting it go in a perfect environment, keeping it alive, because until that plant is completely dried out, there's life in it. You know what I mean? It's still alive, kicking and trying, uh, and going through some kind of chemical processes. So I think there's something to be said about that. How much does it necessarily improve the cannabis? I don't know. I think it's just more of a curing type thing. It's going through one last change, trying to like when you cut grass. You know what I mean? How the terps get real. It puts out a terp alert to the rest of them. Trouble's coming. I think that's what's going on in that slower, drier time with it. It's kind of putting out some extra oomph in the terp department. I don't necessarily think it's what you've been told to think that the leaves are coming down and necessarily kind of hold them in. I think there's more of a chemical process going on there. I
What
go back and forth.
what book are you reading?
Oh, currently, let's see. I don't need my look because it's so wide of subjects. I believe Audible. Oh, Resurrection Agriculture is the current book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Second round with this one because kind of blew through it the first time. I love Audible. It gives me a good chance to work in the garden and fucking listen and learn to stuff while I'm going about my day.
Yeah.
Even though it's a wide variety of subjects these days, I like a lot of philosophy listens as well. Uh, if I find out other people are other avid Audible or read to it, they suggest books. Uh, I try to write them down too and fucking check that out, see what they're interested in. I like too that a lot of times too, if you get there's a lot of people that read and stuff. If I'm watching a podcast, if they don't like, if I'm watching a podcast and there's somebody that's got my interests, going and they have books in the background, I'm known to like read and see what's on that shelf. You know what I mean? Uh, to to
Yeah.
find some good reads. But, yeah, I listen to a lot of stuff like that.
Find out what he's interested in, and then you'll be interested, maybe interested as well.
Pretty inquisitive. I'm a little bit of cannabis. I think that's why a lot of us, as we got older, got lost into the History Channel. You know, some fairly decent subject matter, a little bit of cannabis, some great narration, and you can get hooked into some of these documentaries and learning type shows and shit like that. And I don't think that's ever faded in me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, which why I want to say too is, man, just like MTV, I think the History Channel kind of went real south. Like you can't see music videos on MTV. You can't watch a lot of good, serious shit on fucking the History Channel anymore. It's more, alligator hunting and shit like that is good documentaries and intelligent TV anymore.
If it ain't a reality show, I don't know.
Well, jokingly, the only thing I really watch, and I'd take a little bit of heat for this anymore. This is the only thing I watch it religiously. I've actually even like blown off a Weed Nerd World or two because I've on the edge of catching a recap of the Oak Island.
Yeah.
The rest of the year, that you know what I mean, when it's not in season, I don't give a shit. I can go fucking forever without watching the TV. But Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock, I'm definitely trying to catch some Oak Island or catch a replay later in the evening for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I and I didn't know too much about Oak. I didn't know. Well, I knew very little about Oak Island, but one of our characters on Caribou Prophet. He is he followed the series Oak Island quite a bit, and he was shocked that I knew very little about it. But especially I mean, it took place in Canada. I said, yeah, but that's on the east coast of Canada. That's a long ways away from me.
Oh man, I don't know how and why. Because they could take like, I don't know, some of the smaller events and just kind of make a full episode out of it and keep you in. But I've been in for years, but they're really this last season and this season they've really kind of uncovered a bunch of cool shit. Realize that it isn't just folklore or lore, that there's a shit ton of truth to the legend. Right. It's really cool how it's unfolding. Finally, it's like a long, long book that you're just finally getting into the, fuck, I think the show's been on for at least 5 years and shit. You know what I mean? And before, you could watch 4 episodes and then be like, oh, we found a coin. You're like,
Yeah, yeah. They've done a good job of dragging it out.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's worth it though. It's getting worth it. I say.
Good, good.
Do you have any shows that you watch other than cannabis-based TV?
I gave up my TV for podcasting and everything else. I just was finding less and less value in television, especially news, and I just don't know how the world keeps going on without me watching the 6 o'clock news anymore. But somehow the rest of the world manages. But prior to that, I was hooked on a soap opera. And I guess I watched this soap opera for 42 years. The Young and the Restless. That was my downfall. Yeah. That was my
Oh, I
downfall.
wonder how many people can relate to that. I never. Well, I had time. Well, obviously, it was ever in any mother's home, any home where there's a homebody that was a mother, watch soaps when you grew up. So if you were at home at all during the day, you had to watch mom soaps before you could fucking ever, ever think about watching anything else. So I've seen my days of all fucking General Hospital, all those. At one point, maybe a unemployed spree there where there's nothing left to do when talk shows were ruling there. Got caught up in one or two for a minute. To be honest with you, I can relate a little bit there. So have have the care in the 43 years, are the names the same? Just the faces have changed, or have they incorporated new characters the whole time?
I yeah, so no, so I even gave that up when I gave up TV, but I found it online somewhere, but it was in where normally you watch a show in, I don't know, all these numbers, 1410 or something, and this is like 720. And so it was like if you and I were, like, say, on the screen here talking with each other, what would happen is it would put the two characters out of the screen. So if I'm trying to watch the show in 720, I'm only looking at the back of your grow tent there, and I can't see the two characters. So it drove me nuts. I couldn't stand that anymore. But anyway, to answer your question, I'm thinking that I would think that, my goodness, I'll bet that maybe up close to 40% of the main characters are still there. Maybe 30 to 40% of the main, and that's 43 years. Wow. Now that I think about it, yeah, a lot
Right?
of, yeah, that's a shitload. They got to be 60, 70. Yeah, they're, yeah.
It's pretty impressive, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same location. A lot of them have lived in the same place and that kind of thing. But yeah, a big percentage of all of the. I think it's one of the biggest running soap operas going out there. But,
It's been a while. Doctor's offices were always another good chance for catching some soaps at one point.
Hey, when you mentioned staying home from school, it's totally unrelated to soap operas, but it reminded me of when I was every now and then I'd stay home from school. Like the first time it happened, it was by accident. I guess maybe I was sick, but then after that, when I found out when this is going to happen, I used to purposely skip school so I could watch this event right from the front of my house, right in front of my house. The garbage truck used to come down the street and they would load all of the garbage pretty much in behind the cab of the truck. And then once that area was filled up, what they would do, and it would always take place whatever day garbage day was in front of my house in Vancouver, and they would take the vehicle and put it in reverse and step on the gas and head in reverse, oh, maybe 50, 60 feet down the road, and then hit the brakes. And the front end of the truck would go about, 8 feet in the air and bounce back down again. And that's how they put the garbage to the back of the truck so that they could keep filling it up. You think that they would get away with that with today's safety society? It was so cool to watch. I tell you, it was spectacular.
Chat is still buzzing. They've enjoyed the show today. They're fucking chatting right along with us. See?
Yeah, chat. You know what? I love chat, and every now and when I'm doing a show and I look over and I can see in many cases they're having more fucking fun than we are, and it really pisses me off because they're and every now and then they'll get on a roll, and a few, you know, the characters, you know who they are, they know who they are. Thunder Dan, Dave's not here. there's some there's some pretty crazy people in there. Hurting Albertan. And they'll get on a roll and look out. Other times I just prefer to be in chat and then over on the panel. It's fun.
There's some definitely crazy folks that follow along. For me in particular, as far as the ones that like to how do I say correctly? Fuck with me. Who I or try to, well, I guess the problem, not necessarily fuck with me, try to get me to smile or crack, you know what I mean? Are definitely Mr. Buzz Lightyear acetone and 420 420 can both throw up some funny shit. Back there, I guess at one point he said he was part of a news team or whatever, and used to be like in the producer booth. He said he used to be like the guy in the year there. And he said he used to kind of fuck with people on there, but he has made me call quite a few interviews. Kind of that cat's actually made me bite my cheek. You know what I mean? To try to keep from letting on that I'm keeping up with the craziness in chat. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's almost got me a few times. But yeah, 420, 420, same.
Yeah,
Chat can
yeah.
be chat can be fun sometimes. Like we're talking about, man, it can be hard to stay focused with chat too as well. But as with that being said, let me ask you this: have you ever tried to do this without chat?
Ever tried to do it without chat?
Yeah.
Uh, okay. So what happened when I first started doing this? I Well, it took quite a bit of persuasion, because I just like, well, I now I look back and I realize that it was my fear of failure, and in spite of the fact that I was a salesman all my life, so I've accepted rejection a long time ago. Uh, Still, it's one of the biggest the biggest fears in a person's life is if somebody says no to them. It's really hard to accept. So that until I got a little extra push, I thought I'd do it. And then the first time, there was going to become an event where it wasn't that I didn't have chat; it was that I didn't have a co-host. Our guest couldn't make it, and my co-host couldn't make it, and it was just going to be me and chat. And I wasn't that experienced with chat to be able to have a conversation with them. I didn't understand the concept, and Chad Westport jumped in at the last minute and jumped in with me, and we had a great time. But then shortly after that, Bingus was on a show, and it was just him and just chat. And suddenly I went, oh, I get it. Yeah, I'm allowed to have a conversation just with chat. And it's just opened my eyes to another dimension of podcasting that it's just so cool. But now I didn't answer your question. But maybe I can answer your question. Then the question being, have you ever done this without chat? Because the very first time that I did an interview with Caribou, I honestly didn't know anything about chat. I didn't understand that along with broadcasting comes a chat. Because we weren't doing it live. We weren't doing it live. Yeah, so we didn't have chat. But it was not until after we started doing it live that chat was introduced to me. So it was quite funny.
It's so weird. I guess once you do it live like this, I don't know. I won't do it any other way, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
No, you're absolutely right, Eagle. And I know that when Caribou started the channel, he was editing, like we would do the show and then he would edit it. And then after a few weeks, he approached me and said, for all the time it takes to edit these things and for all the editing that I don't do, he said, I think I think we're just gonna go live. And at first I thought, what? Like, how can we just go live? I mean, in other words, what comes out of my mouth, I can't take it back. Is that what you're telling me? But then suddenly I got the concept, and you're absolutely right. There's nothing exciting about doing an edited broadcast. If it's not live, I don't want to play. I just don't want to play.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things to be said about that. It's again so more personal. I've tried to do one-on-one one time, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I need got that for far into it, and it wasn't the same. The tone wasn't the same. The energy wasn't the same. I don't like the idea of, and I've seen this from my end of uh doing podcasts. You know what I mean? Being on the interviewed end on a taped episode, you wonder what's gonna actually happen with what happened with the conversation. Is it going to be edited in a certain way? Is it, because a lot can happen in editing and can be misconstrued easily.
Yep.
And so there's that aspect of it that I never really liked, but there is an energy with doing it live. I mean, it's like crickets. There's just, it's like doing this in an empty theater. You know what I mean? Having a large room and us being on, on stage with just echoes is kind of the feeling that it feels like without the live chat anymore. So it's weird that it has an effect overall on the tone of things, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's something special and magical about your show in that you can have those pauses, those crickets, if you will, but nobody feels as like too uncomfortable because of it. And then, of course, you've got live chat going on all the time anyway. And so that's what I've gleaned from your show since I started watching it. It's a I feel relaxation on the panel.
I've seen it done the other way too on other shows, and I've kind of felt like it was weird and slightly misleading sometimes when you've done a pre-recorded episode and then premiered it, and then you're hanging out in chat like it's live, because a lot of the people hanging out are the assumption that what's being seen is live. You know what I'm saying? Uh it again, a weird tone, just a weird tone to it all. Yeah, and they need to be done like this. They need to be done like this.
Yeah, yeah,
More
yeah,
genuine.
absolutely. Yeah, it's the best. Yeah, yeah. Whoever figured out this concept, yeah, it's a winner. Live, yeah, live streaming. Yeah.
So what is next with Let's Be Buds? Is that the main focus right now, and just kind of hanging out with Caribou? But Let's Be Buds, the main focus right now.
Yes, I want to take it one more step, and what better place to make this announcement than on your show? I haven't really said too much about it, but with included with giving back to the community or giving back, um, I also wanted to make a push for this to be like a nonprofit. Most of these podcasts are nonprofit anyway, but nonprofit in the sense that I expect to pick up any expenses related to the show, but I want to start selling merch. And I've got a thank you to DP for the creative idea, and Astro Charlie for putting it together for me. A logo, and then I'm going to get merch set up, and then I'm going to arrange for all of the profits from the sale of the merchandise to go to a charity. And I haven't pinpointed it, but I've been speaking with Rasufa regarding all the work that he did last year with the homeless, and so I'm still working on all the details, but that's I'm really excited about getting that thing rolling in the very near future.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I can appreciate that 100%. I did like his episode when I spoke with him, and he was talking about some of the charity work he had done. That's pretty awesome. It's hard to pin, it's hard to, well, at least it was for me, to try to pinpoint a charity, something. Not that it's some people, it's hard to, I'm trying to choose my words uh, wisely here. Um, Not everybody feels the same passion about every charity. I guess that's the easiest way. You
that's
know what I mean?
yeah, that's a very good point. And like I'm thinking, just quickly, I'm thinking about jinx proof and autism. He has a son with autism, so he can get behind something like that very strongly.
He's supposed
And
to be
I,
tomorrow's guest.
oh,
Yes.
fantastic, fantastic. And yeah, I've been giving this whole concept a lot of thought, but what Rasufa did with the homeless, I thought was inspiring in the sense that he did a lot of the legwork himself. So most of the money that he raised got to the end user. But I've also thinking about that very point that you were making about like not everybody can get excited about the same autistic child that Jinx Proof can, or that Rasufa might feel about the homeless, or that I, you know, I have situations in my family with opioid addiction, and how I feel about naloxone being provided to everybody that can get their hands on it. Where am I going with it? Oh, so I was thinking, even if it was like, okay, buy a t-shirt and send $10 to your favorite charity and send me the receipt, or send me tell me that you just sent $10 to the Canadian Cancer Society, and that's good enough for me. At least I know, then I can keep a record of how much money was raised through the sale of the merchandise.
Right on.
So I haven't worked out all the
We
details, but that's what I'm still working towards. But raise some money for charity.
I tried this year will be the third annual 24-hour episode
Oh yeah,
on
yeah,
420.
yeah.
The first year that we did it, it was kind of, well, there's no kind of, Mr. Smiley's Gardens had suggested the idea of doing a 24-hour episode and doing it for charity, uh, which was, or maybe 10 days before 420. It's a big start of COVID. And what it's a shame about it is it fucking was one of the best episodes, even though it was so early on in the show's start there. It was still a fucking amazing episode. So I had a hard time even like getting people to talk to me because of COVID. Most offices were closed down. Some of the people I talked to just uh didn't want to involve cannabis money. You know what I mean? And then I
Oh
didn't want to handle the money. Personally, I didn't want to handle the money. I wanted it to be directly to the charity, which will leave the how to and what, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yep, yep.
so it kind of fell somewhat flat. In the end, I was happy the way it worked out, because it was just like I said, if I would have called out a charity, would have that episode that day been as a success as it was? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have, as many guests as I had that day, because I had, fuck, there was like 50 people that were on that day, minimal, you know,
yeah,
you know, it would have been hard maybe to, like I said, get everybody behind or whatever. But what ended up happening, because I couldn't nail down a link, a charity, uh, we ended up was the name of that episode was "Show Us Your Heart, Not Your Sack." So basically, anybody that came on, I wanted to have a conversation with, and before they left, I wanted them to make, like you're saying, just make awareness to an issue that was important to them, it being cancer, breast cancer, homeless, whatever. You know what I mean? It was more about just, having fun and having fun with cannabis that day, but yet thinking about, things that needed to be changed or ways we could help, in the community
Cool.
or as a community. So I
Cool.
liked the idea. It's an awesome idea. I
Yeah.
hope you have a lot of success with it, my friend.
No, thank you. Cheddar Bob did something in the last week or two. Did he not for charity? Or a fundraiser of some sort. I didn't know what it was for though. Uh, uh,
I'm not sure.
yeah. Okay. I
If he was, he should have come on and promoted it. I'll say that.
bugger. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. uh, I'll catch up with them. But no, I find that this is an incredibly giving community, and there's a lot of good stuff going on out there for sure. Yeah.
A lot of good things coming out of cannabis these days. Quite against the stigma we grew up against, as we kind of talked about, throughout this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
We're
with
gonna
that
get
being
better.
said, would you say it has ever hindered you anything in your life? Has it taken away or kept you from doing something to the 100% that you could have? I guess.
Cannabis, you're asking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I've had some high and some low points, and I suppose when I think back, like I hope I learned from those mistakes I made, but I wouldn't really change a lot. I really wouldn't. I've three marriages, more rip-offs than I could think of, five drug charges, bankruptcies. I've gotten back so much more, and I wouldn't trade none of it for the world. Absolutely. Just
So,
having
what
fun.
what advice can someone give from three marriages to somebody that's thinking about getting married? I'm curious. I'm not thinking of getting married, but what to those that are willing to take that crazy step down. I don't know. I've only been once. I don't know if I don't know if I can do it two more times, to be honest with you.
Uh, okay. Prenup? How about prenup? That's a nice one. No, even the marriages, with the exception of one, my third wife, and she reminded me so many times that the ride was worth the fall. She gave me a fantastic ride, I tell you. Yeah. Good memories.
Right now. Yeah. I just had to ask. I just had to ask.
Oh boy.
Uh,
So, well,
so were any of them any of the three anti-cannabis before
the first one, yeah, that was a big mistake there, but we survived that one. Yeah, the other two, well, actually, my second wife, yeah, okay. My third wife, she didn't smoke. So it was my second wife. I've quit smoking tobacco so many times, but I quit now for countless years. But it was my second wife that when I met her, I wasn't a smoker. So, but she was. So every time she would have a cigarette, she would offer me one, and I'd say no, thank you, I don't smoke. And then the next time she would offer me it. Well, finally, I just said, oh, fuck it. So I just took one and I started smoking again. So my third wife, I had stopped smoking again. So, but one day she says to me, she says, I think smoking is sexy. Well, I couldn't run to the store fast enough to grab a pack of cigarettes, man. That's where my brain was. You think it's sexy? I'm in.
That's funny.
What are you gonna do? Shoot.
I know. It's funny because yeah, men have always been portrayed as like, I don't know, the bad influence as far as interactions with men and women. You know what I'm saying? Uh in a life experience tells me, and again, kind of relating back to the psychedelics experience, uh, it's quite the opposite. I don't know. I know countless men that have done stupid shit for
Women.
the sake of some good company, I guess, is we'll put it in a good way.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we think with that small head.
alcohol, other things. Yeah, I met a gentleman recently who said he just started drinking again. I was like, oh yeah, what's her name? He's like, how'd you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. I just had a feeling. So I believe I heard the undertones of you wanting to call it a night, my friend.
Well, darn it, we're having so much fun, but all good things must come, and we're not going to have any time for the new nerd weed show.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I am very grateful for the time I got, my friend, for sure. And I would prefer to leave on a good note and leave some room for a possible second episode. So, I'll take a good out when if that's what you want. So, I appreciate
Love
your
to.
time, my friend. I'm
I'd love
yeah,
to.
hopefully you know that your invitation that I sent you right now, or even earlier this evening, is your invitation into the Weed Nerd world. The Weed Nerd world is only open to past guests. Nowadays, it seems like Monday is mandatory Weed Nerd world. Come on 2 a.m.s on Mondays. West Coast takeover nowadays on Wednesdays is mandatory Weed Nerd world. Any other nights, it's just when me and the spotlight don't go the full time slot. I'll end off the night with the Weed Nerd World. So anytime you see that in the title, you're more than welcome to come hang out, smoke, hang, talk. It don't matter what we're doing. We just appreciate the company. So hopefully you take us up on that and come hang out more often. It'll be a good time, I guarantee. The other thing I'd like to get from you before you go is, of course, the sound bite. Do you know how the sound bite goes, or do I need to go over it with you, my friend?
No, you just have to remind me about the number
Ah,
570.
578.
This meeting. Oh, okay. We just got a notification that it's being broadcast. Oh, you started a new one for this. I gotcha.
No,
Oh,
I record this hunk. Before this. Oh, it's 579. Before I fucked it up, it's
uh,
579. I gotta fix
uh,
that in the title. I'm
I
glad I
got it.
caught that.
Okay. So
Before I
then,
used to have to go out and clip this out of every episode, and then again, the nice suggestions from Smiley's Gardens was like, you should record just that part. And I was like, yeah, that makes
hey,
total sense.
absolutely.
So I am
Okay.
ready anytime you are. Episode 579.
Okay. So yeah, this is Uncle Rick, and we're in episode number 579 of fucking talking shit with Uncle. Let me try it one more time. One more time from the beginning. Take it from the top. This is Uncle Rick, and we are in episode 579 of fucking talking shit with Eagle. That's it.
Go. Thank you very much for that sound bite, my friend. Anybody you'd like to thank? Any shout outs like you'd like to give before we go?
Oh my goodness. Like I started with so many people. So I will say one more time, thank you to Caribou and the crew. That's where it all started. Since then, Michigan Bros Grow Show took us under their wing, and we've learned to grow and enjoy so many other shows out there. It's really been quite the ride. And thank you all so very much. And thank you, chat.
Well, with that being said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know I sure have, and by the looks of chat, you guys have too. With that being said, I will be looking for most of you guys here in a minute in the Wheat Nerd world. If not, thank you for your time. You guys know the deal. Do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. I can't believe you got that shit out of me, Uncle Rick. With that being said, we are out of here. You have a good night, Uncle Rick. We will meet again.
Right on. Love you, man.